we are going to do 14 Days with You. It is a one of my favorites, which is a kind of psychological horror romance dating sim. Um, we're going to try it. See how it goes. If I have to end it, I have to end it. So, I know, right? Math or who was the third person on the moon? I don't freaking know, dude. This will disable all sexual content and limit the use of strong language. It will not change the overall dark themes present within the demo. Ideal for YouTube videos and streaming on Twitch. Enable streamer mode? Yes, please! I'm a streamer on Twitch. Yes, please enable streamer mode. Thank you. What name would you like to be called? Angel. Pronouns. She? Yeah, sure, let's just leave it at Angel. Why not? This is a demo. This is the demo of the day. Angel, huh? I see. I can't wait to finally meet you, Angel. And in other news, the remains of yet another body has been pulled out from Lake Blue Moss, making it a total of 4 unidentifiable victims this past year. Authorities believe that... Stifling a groan with the rim of my coffee cup, I fish around for the remote lodged between the cushions and turn off the TV. I wasn't about to let some morbid headline damper the start of my cheerful morning, especially considering how today was going to be my first day at work after finally getting that hard-earned promotion. I mean, sure, stacking and sorting through books at a library might not have been my dream job, or even my first choice, but of places to work after moving back. But the pay was nice, my coworkers were friendly, and the building was located within the perfect walking distance from my apartment. There was even this adorable little bakery along the way that served the best shortcakes and croissants known to mankind, and the manager there always loved to hand out small freebies whenever I stopped by. Still beats living in the city, though. Honestly, I wasn't even sure why I left my hometown in the first place. The fast-paced, hustle and bustle lifestyle of the city just wasn't what I was longing for whenever I stared out of my window on sleepless nights, and the people there were always rude and indignant. It was nothing like Cortland Bay, where everyone felt like a close-knit family and the air smelled like the sea rather than pollution. And sure, the local crime rate might be getting out of hand as of late, and there might be fewer things for me to do here, but my new job keeps me busy, and I prefer spending time alone at the beach over visiting shady bars with people I barely considered friends. In fact, setting my mug onto the table, I reach into my pocket and pull out my phone. A notification from Moth, my online friend, pops up, so I tap on the screen to read their message. What greets me is an adorable sticker of some anime character giving a thumbs up, as well as a short message that says, "Good luck today," underneath. Moth had always been adamant about showing their endless support for me, even after 5 years of friendship, cursed memes, and late-night video calls. And even though I would never admit it out loud, I was truly grateful to have someone like them in my life. Pulling up the keyboard, I begin to type a response to their message. How will you respond? Send back another sticker. Or send back a meme with zero context. Heck yeah. Without missing a beat, I open the image gallery with practiced fingers and send back a blurry picture of a worm in a bag of crisps with the word "sexy" written in glitter font. Not even 5 seconds pass before Moth quips back with a response of their own, this time sending their own cryptic meme of a frog sitting on a slice of bread. Is that butter? Before I can ask, a gray chat bubble pops up once more, indicating that Moth was still typing another message. By the way, did you see the latest AOG episode? I heard Haruko got an outfit change. Spoil it for me. Did he really change his hairstyle as well? Or was it really just his sorcerer outfit? Attack on Giants, or AOG. Huh. I wonder what that could be in reference to. As Moth liked to call it, is a popular anime series that we recently became obsessed with, and Haruko is one of the main characters from the show. He's a sorcerer known for his shy and airheaded demeanor, and as of late, his hairstyle had become a trending topic within the community. Now that I thought about it, what hairstyle did Haruko have in the latest episode? Ooh, do I get to choose? His hair is long now. Because if you're fighting... Well, I don't know. Short? I guess if you're fighting giants, you wouldn't... Well, I guess giants, like, they're not going to be able to pinpoint your hair specifically. Long hair. I like long hair. He grew it out? I knew there was a 1-year time skip, but dang! I'm bouncing off the walls right now. By the way, I don't mean to change the subject, but didn't you say last night that you were going to head to work at 8 a.m.? Because it's like almost 9:30 where you are right now. Right? Or am I just dumb and got the time zone mixed up again? Looking at the time displayed on my phone, I immediately let out a string of curses and leapt to my feet. Crap! Grabbing the coat that I had carelessly strewn across the back of the sofa earlier, I quickly shrug it on before making a beeline toward the front door. Before I leave, however, I spare myself one final glance in the poorly hung mirror in the hallway. Hopefully the outfit I chose was appropriate for my job. What style did I go for? Yeah, exactly. Be like, I got a promotion! Late to work the next day. Let's see. I work at a library, but I did just get a new job. So let's say something professional for today. Perhaps it's because I'm still in my impress my colleagues phase, but sometimes it's just best to wear something appropriate for my job. Tugging at the ironed out collar of my blazer, I gave myself a small spin in the mirror to make sure that everything was in the right place. But enough of that. I could check myself out another time. Hastily, I smooth out the wrinkles and pick off any stray pieces of lint from my sleeves before I finally head out the front door. I have coffee! Although, granted, after the last game, I really don't need it to wake up. I'm running out of it, too. I don't have my water bottle anymore. Whoops. And almost catch my coat on the door handle in the process. Ooh, that's a way to start the day off wrong. You get your, buckle or something caught in a door handle. Oof. With a grumble, I tug at the fabric of my coat before slamming the door shut with a little bit too much force than necessary. Even trying to insert my key came with a bit of a struggle, and I had to fight the urge to yell in frustration as I attempted to lock my door. Seriously, when will that lazy bum of a landlord do something about this? I swear I've complained about this at least 4 times this month. Oh, hey there, Angel. Looking good. My neighbor, Violet, practically beams at me while she fishes through her packet for her own apartment key. Resting on her hip was yet another potted plant, and I found myself wondering where she was going to put it this time. I was almost entirely convinced that her whole apartment had been turned into a greenhouse at this point, considering how her balcony was practically filled to the brim with different kinds of plants, greenery, and other various kinds of flora. But I wasn't about to complain or anything. Enjoy lurking, Tin Minsk. The fragrance that wafted in with the wind always smelled floral and earthy, and it did well to mask the smell of smoke and burnt food whenever I tried to cook. Love the shoes, by the way. The color really complements your aura this morning. You'll have to let me peek inside your closet someday. I've been looking for some new inspiration lately, especially with winter right around the corner. I'm getting excited just thinking about it. But back to you. Yeah, what does that symbol mean? Oh! Dislike, neutral, like, love. Okay. Her voice pulls me away from my thoughts, and I notice how the growing smile on her face doesn't seem to falter. Wow, Violet sure has extra chippy this morning. I wonder if she'd let me borrow some of that energy. In response, I shoot my neighbor a grin of my own, and it was apparently enough to brighten her mood even more than it was already. How will you respond? It's nice to see you again. Yeah, it's nice to see you too. I'd usually still be at the flower shop at this time, so it's nice to finally be able to catch up with you like this, especially when our schedules align. Speaking of, you should stop by my place the next time you're free. I'd love to introduce you to this little guy's family. Oh, I almost forgot. I've been meaning to ask you this, but when were you going to tell me that you were seeing someone? Huh? A knowing look pulls at her features as Violet continues to fiddle with the lock on her door. What are you talking about? Come on. Don't act like you didn't just have a guy over last night. I saw him leaving when I took Kathy out for a walk. I'd be more worried about my neighbor taking her plants, named plants, out on a walk at night, but the thought of someone leaving my apartment seemed to set off way more alarm bells. I gave Violet a concerned look and she picks up on it almost immediately. You don't remember? Don't tell me you were drunk or something. With a huff, she gives up on trying to unlock her door. It seemed as though we both shared the same problem with our apartment locks, and places her potted plant on the ground before slowly making her way towards me. Tall guy, wearing a dark slasher hoodie, really into alternative fashion with the crazy amount of belts and loops wrapped around his leg. Ring any bells? No. Last night I was just catching up on some TV shows and talking with my friend. No one came here. Even if they did, I would have heard them. My place isn't really that big anyway. Really? But I was so sure it was your door. A hand rests on her cheek in a thinking manner before she pouts up at me, seemingly giving in for now. Well, all right then. Maybe it was someone else's apartment? I mean, it's always so dark in these hallways at night. Honestly, what is our landlord doing? Oh, I can. I can type something there. What am I going to type? I could type... Late for work as usual. And my house spouse era, don't at me. Stop interfering with my walks, Tio. Would you mind if I check in with security downstairs later? It'd give me some peace of mind. Yeah, that's fine. All right then. Thank you, Angel. Welp, I got some plants to water and some MMOs to raid in, so... She plays MMOs? That's surprising. Violet lets out one last huff before she picks up her plant. What did she name this one again? And goes back to unlocking her door. Good talk, I guess. Even if it was kind of awkward. Yeah, sure. See you later, V. Slipping past my neighbor and into the cramped hallway, I quickly make for the stairs. When will they fix that broken elevator? And break into a slight jog. Thankfully, the weather was rather cool today, and the shoes I chose weren't going to leave me with blisters by the time I reached the library. The smell of old paper, coffee, and soft incense floods my senses as I step through the library's glass doors. The melodic chimes alert the woman at the reception desk of my arrival, and I watch as she tucks a strand of stray blonde hair behind her ear as she turns around to greet me. Good morning, Eleanor. Oh! She looks surprised for some reason before her expression morphs into a soft smile, and she beckons me closer with a nod of her head. Eleanor is one of my co-workers here at Corlin Bay Library, and one of the very few people who actually gets the work done. And although she's notorious... Oh, I thought my microwave was beeping. What the heck? And although she's notorious for being rather scatterbrained, she more than makes up for it with her caring and doting attitude towards everyone. But her nurturing personality can get rather overbearing at times, and I often find myself having to step away to get some breathing room. Nevertheless, she's charming to work with, and I appreciate her always looking out for me. After all, who knows what my sleeping schedule would have looked like without her help. Angel, just on time. I printed out your... Wait, where did I... Her expression turns into a slight panic as she spins on her heels, and I slightly watch with amusement as she shuffles through the various books and stacks of paper lining her desk. Where did I leave it? Ah, here it is. Spinning around once more, Eleanor comes back and hands me a sheet of paper with the word schedule printed in big, bold letters. Take it from her grasp and give the sheet a once-over. Well, it looks like I'm going to be busy for the next few weeks. But I guess Eleanor doesn't seem to share the same disdain as me, judging from the playful look plastered on her face. So, how does it feel to no longer be the one in charge of stacking books all day long? Although, you still have to work the front desk from time to time, though, unfortunately. I offer a weak smile at her words before rounding the corner and placing my bag under the desk, and as I begin to pull out some of my belongings, the front door chimes again, letting everyone know that another patron has come in. Figuring Eleanor has it all covered, I leave the customer to her as I go back to preparing everything for the day. But as I turn around to check on her, I notice that she had already finished greeting the customer and was on her way back to her own desk across from mine. As if sensing my gaze, she spins around in her office chair and flashes me a teasing grin. Looks like he's back again. Eleanor gives a soft chuckle as she inclines her head in the direction of the person she was talking about. You know, that new guy? I don't know when he started showing up here in the Bay, but he always comes in and rents out the books you recommend on the display window. And if I didn't know any better, I'd say he has a little crush on you. Especially with that outfit. I don't know about him, but I think that blazer looks great on you. Snorting, I push Eleanor's office chair so that she's facing the other way and focus my attention back to the papers in front of me. What was with everyone today? Always smiling, gossiping about other people, and meddling in business that wasn't their own? It was bad enough that I had to deal with a potential intruder, but I doubt my deadbeat landlord was going to do anything about it. I might need to buy a stronger lock on my way home from work. Maybe even some kind of alarm system. But would the store still be open by then? All of a sudden, I get pulled backwards as Eleanor playfully wheels my chair around and leans over my shoulder to softly speak in my ear. Would you look at that? Lover boy in aisle 8 needs some help, it seems. She nods in the direction of the red light flashing above the bookshelf, signaling to the staff that someone in that row needs assistance. With a sigh, I reluctantly stand up and make my way over. I already knew for a fact that Eleanor wasn't going to go help them herself, so I begrudgingly begin to make my way towards aisle 8 alone. I knew better than to glance back at her, though, knowing full well that my teasing coworker would be sporting the biggest grin on her face at my misfortune. Okay, so this is where the library is, and this is where my apartment is, so that's not too bad. I can't like it, though. I thought maybe I could. Ducking around the corner and into the aisle, I was immediately met with a broad backside that was covered by what had to be the comfiest looking cardigan I'd ever seen. The person whom it belonged to, however, hadn't seemed to notice me yet, so I awkwardly clear my throat and absent-mindedly shift my weight from one foot to the other. Ahem. He seems to jump at the sudden noise before sheepishly turning around to face me. Immediately, I was taken aback by his soft demeanor, doe-like eyes, and imposing height. Is that tattoo? Is that tattoo peeking out? So this was the guy who always rented out my recommended books on the display window, huh? Definitely fit the aesthetic of a cozy literature lover needing a good book. His pink hair also reminded me of Haruko, an anime character that I had recently been obsessing over with Moth during our late-night video calls. In fact, even the overall cut and style appeared vaguely similar to his. So if I would have chosen short hair, would his hair have been shorter? But then again, this hairstyle could have been trending right now or something, and I just so happened to be the last to know about it. But now that I had a good look at him, which proved difficult considering his towering height, this stranger also seemed to bear a near picture-perfect resemblance to the male lead from the webcomic I was reading. It was called Always With You, and it involved the main character meeting the love of her life at a... As if noticing my spaced-out look, the stranger absent-mindedly scratches at his jaw while he waits me to snap out of my thoughts. In fact, I had been so distracted that I didn't even realize that he had been muttering quietly to himself. He's so pretty. I wasn't expecting you to show up so soon. Sorry, I hope I'm not bothering you. I was just looking for, His voice pulls me back to the present, and I hastily try to make sense of what was spilling from his cherry-tinted lips. Watching him struggle with his words would have made anyone feel bad, so I offer him a reassuring smile in return and an encouraging nod of my head. At that, he takes a steady inhale of air before trying again. I need some help. I'm looking for a specific book, you see, but... And now he's playing with the ends of his sleeves. I felt the sudden urge to reach out and stop him. Did I find the action annoying? Endearing? Relatable? Who knows? But instead, I held back and waited for him to find the words to speak. But, wow, even his mannerisms were eerily similar to Haruko's. The endearing awkwardness and sleeve-tugging gave me a sense of deja vu, and it honestly felt like he walked straight out of the anime and into this very library. That's how you find the girl of your dreams. That's how you get the girl of your dreams. Dress up like her favorite anime character. Man, Moth is gonna freak when I tell him about this later. The stranger in front of me takes in another shaky inhale before he tries to speak once more, this time with a lot more confidence in his tone and a fire in his eye. Do you have any books on native flora? The best I found are on generic wildlife, but nothing about Corlin Bay's plants. Or maybe I'm just in the wrong aisle? He was looking for a book about native flora. Perhaps I should introduce him to Violet. Chuckling to myself at the thought, I stepped closer to the tall man and began scanning the contents of the shelf beside him. He almost seems to flinch at the sudden closeness between us, but showed no sign of moving away. In fact, he seemed to almost lean closer and incline his head towards mine. And had I not been too preoccupied with finding that book, I would have noticed how his breath hitches in his throat as my scent floods his senses. No, you're definitely in the right aisle. Those kind of books are just more hidden, I guess. I step past him this time and make my way over to the lower part of the shelves. Absent-mindedly, I run a finger against the spine of each book until I come into contact with one book in particular. Then, bending over slightly, I pull the book from the shelf and give the cover a once-over before offering it to the man behind me. Is this what you're looking for? Too preoccupied with the misplaced book on the bookshelf, who brings cookbooks to the nature aisle, I barely notice how his blue eyes trail across my form before landing on the book held out in my outstretched hand. Was it just me, or did he have a certain glint in his eyes? Was this book really that interesting, or perhaps this tall stranger was just really into nature? Well, not that it mattered, because he was already taking a tentative step forward and revealing more of his hands from the depth of his long sleeves. With shaky fingers, I watch as the stranger reaches out and takes it from my grasp. He flips through a few pages to take in its contents, before finally settling on the book with an affirmative nod. Yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. Thank you. I'm glad. You're like an angel sent down from heaven or something. You're so helpful. Kind, too. What? What? I didn't... Did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to. That must have been so weird. I'm so sorry. He looked as though he was about to cry now, so I hastily threw up my hands in a comforting manner and shot him a reassuring smile. Hey, it's fine. No need to freak out. I wasn't expecting someone to say that about me is all. Really? Well, I think it's true, for what it's worth. You really are like an angel. Thanks? An angel, huh? I seriously doubt that was the reason why my parents named me that in the first place, but it's crazy how he was able to guess my name so easily. Figuring that was my cue to leave before things got awkward, I gave him one last friendly smile and subtly glanced back towards the front desk, but the eccentric man showed no signs of moving. Instead, he just looked down at me expectantly. Did he want to continue the conversation? Seemed unlikely, as he didn't say anything. He simply stared at me. Awkwardly, I cleared my throat for what had to be the millionth time today and gestured vaguely to the reception desk behind me. Well, if you didn't need any more help, I should... This is just getting weird now. Should I even attempt to continue this conversation or just leave? I mean, it would seem rude to just walk away abruptly, especially considering how he's apparently a regular patron in a library I worked at, but he wasn't making much of an effort either, so what should I do? I see no reason why I can't keep talking to him. So, do you come here often? Seriously, Angel? That was the best you could come up with? Dang it, now he probably thinks I'm the weird one. Yeah, actually, I like visiting whenever I have some free time. Although I usually end up coming here just to hide away in a corner somewhere and look at your book collection. You have a lot of interesting books here? Lots and lots of books. Yeah? I mean, it is a library after all. But sure, whatever you say, Mr. Actually, now that I think about it, you haven't told me your name yet. Oh, I guess you're right. You can call me... What can I call you? What? It was like he said something, but his voice was delayed. Was that even his voice? Was he speaking English? Almost felt like something that came out of a dream. How did you do that? Do what? Anyway, you could just call me Ren if you'd like. Is it alright if I continue to call you Angel? It's such a unique name, in my personal opinion at least. Wait, did he just guess my real name, or was he just using Angel as a nickname? And was he really flirting with me right now? Are you okay? Yeah, I think, but how did you know my name? I don't remember telling you. Silly, it's on your name tag. As if to prove a point, Ren reaches out to gently flick the name tag that I somehow forgot that I had put on this morning. Oh, Angel is a cute name, though. And it's really, really, really fun to say, especially over and over again. Right? Anyway, say, are you busy later? I'd love to thank you for helping me find this book. Seriously, what was up with this guy? One minute he's shy and the next he's bold. It's almost like he was putting up several fronts to see which one I responded to better. Actually, I'll be busy this afternoon. I need to buy a new lock for my apartment. A new lock? That doesn't sound good. Can I ask why? I guess it wouldn't hurt to tell him. I mean, what was he gonna do? Personally show up at my doorstep and test the new lock himself? Girl, you don't even know. Apparently someone broke into my apartment last night and I didn't notice. I don't think they stole anything, but still, it's creepy. I figured it's better to be safe than sorry, you know? Yeah, but it sounds like instead of a lock, you just need to jump the scumbag when they least expect it and beat him up to teach him a lesson. Stay up all night if you have to, really get the edge on him. I couldn't help but let out a genuine chuckle at his suggestion. If I had to choose, then this would have to be the side of him that I preferred. He seemed at ease, and his words weren't as forced or awkward. Yeah? And who's going to be the one to beat up the guy at 3 a.m.? Because last I checked, I'm not really the type to go around throwing punches at people I don't know. And definitely not before the sun is up and shining. I could do it for you. You? But, I mean, we don't even know each other that well, and that's fine. I could tell you all about myself on the walk there. My whole life story and everything. Where I was born, the school I went to, how many cute librarians I've met, which happens to be one so far. Before I could even comment on his sudden confidence, Ren seems to pick up on my discomfort at his choice of words, if it even was discomfort that I was feeling, and hastily backtracked. Hey, or not, I was just messing around. I didn't mean to make you feel uncomfortable. There it was again, that subtle shift in his personality. But now that he mentioned it, would it really hurt to invite him to my place for the night? Girl! He definitely looked like he could handle himself in a fight, his contrasting outfit aside. So maybe it wasn't so bad of an idea. Girl! You meet this man once, he knows you're, no self-preservation. No, I'm not inviting him over! Sorry, I just don't know you well enough for that. No, I totally get it. I don't know why I suggested that in the first place. Great, now it's back to being awkward again. Well, anyway, where is she? Angel? Oh, there you are. Oh, he looks mad. Someone at the front desk is looking for you, and oh, sorry, are you busy right now? I can... Impeccable timing as always, Eleanor. No, it's fine. I think everything is handled here, right? I give the two of them a soft smile before making my way towards the reception desk, but as I pass Eleanor, I gently clasp a hand on her shoulder and shoot her a playful look of my own. If you need more help, I'm sure Eleanor here can assist you. She loves helping others, right? As I turn to leave, I barely miss the way Ren's eyes zone in on my hand resting on Eleanor's shoulder. Oh, girl, you about to die. I'm so sorry, Eleanor. I'm pretty sure I just got you killed. Hours seem to pass by in a blur, and soon enough, I find myself resting up in the employees' lounge. My mind drifts back to the guy from earlier, and I couldn't help but wonder what happened to him afterwards. Did he rent out the book I offered? What about my recommended novel of the week? Ren surely was strange, to say the least, but I had to admit that he did seem kind of cute with his oversized cardigan and timid demeanor. He still gave me off-putting vibes, though, especially with his ever-changing personality, and if I had to be completely honest, that shy and timid persona that he displayed felt rather forced to me. It was almost as if he saw it on TV or something and wanted to try it out himself, and I just happened to be the one of his first victims. But who was I to call him out for it? That was his business if he wanted to act all shy and demure. Angel, everything all right? It's not often I find you here at this time. Conan, my boss, startles me as he suddenly appears in the entranceway. Everyone saw him as some kind of blessing to this institution because the moment he showed up, all forms of trouble seemed to disappear overnight. These low-life teens started causing chaos elsewhere, and the rumored gangs became few and far between. At first, I thought that he might have been linked to these criminals because of his intimidating gaze and facial scars, but then I got to know him better and found out that he held a massive soft spot for those dear to him. Though, much like Eleanor, Conan felt more like a father figure with how much he fretted over his staff and their well being. I mean, he literally installed a new air conditioner and water dispenser last week because one of his employees fainted due to heat stroke. It wasn't anything too major, but it was nice to know that our boss was considerate enough about the people he hired. Doubt I could say about the same about my old job in the city. Conan was also nice to chat to whenever I went on my breaks, and would always encourage me to take as much time as I needed before I returned to my desk. But after realizing that I had, once again, been spacing out, I pulled myself away from my thoughts and turned to offer my boss an acknowledging smile. Yeah, I'm fine, just taking a short break. I'll be back out there soon. Take as long as you need, don't overwork yourself. He seems hesitant to leave. The way he was shifting from one foot to the other was any indication. He shoots me a concerned look before opening his mouth, only to close it once more in contemplation. Have you seen Eleanor? I asked her to come see me regarding the unsorted novels in the storeroom, but she's yet to show up. Bitch is dead. She's so dead. Eleanor? Last I saw her, she was talking to one of our patrons in aisle 8. Maybe she's still there? I'll have to check again. Thank you. And with that, he disappeared just as quietly as he came. But that was odd. It wasn't like Eleanor so suddenly went missing. Was she still occupied with Ren? It had been a while, so I figured she would have finished helping him and left by now. Oh well, I'm sure she'll tune up sooner or later. Ren didn't seem much like a talkative person anyway. Oh no, she's supposedly, so there's all three of us at the library. Oh god, oh god, oh god, oh boy, oh my god. Treat your books with kindness. Calm down, Ren, it's alright. Jeez, why did my thoughts keep returning to that eccentric man? Deciding that I wasn't going to waste my time thinking about any more pink-haired guys, my beloved Haruko aside, I get up from the lounge and meander my way back towards the front desk again. But once I arrive, I immediately notice that my chatty coworker was still nowhere to be found. It was just like my boss had said. Eleanor wasn't anywhere to be seen, and it wasn't like her to leave the reception desk unattended for so long. Maybe she managed to knock over a pile of books again and was busy cleaning it up. Certainly wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary for her. Well, whatever. I'm sure she'll turn up again soon. The impact from me plopping down into my office chair causes some of the papers around me to rustle, and a bright pink sticky note fluttering around captures my attention. Assuming it was left here by Eleanor, I peel the folded note off my computer screen and read it. You can throw this away if you want. Unfolding it, read the following. XX. Oh, it's a phone number. That stuttering guy from aisle 8. Did Ren leave this note? And was that his number? I had to admit, he really was a persistent fellow. Before I could allow Eleanor the chance to manifest behind me and tease me to Kingdom Come, I pocket the note and go back to sorting through the stack of returned books left on the desk. Eleanor is dead. He killed her because I touched her shoulder. While walking home from work, I couldn't shake off the feeling of someone watching me from behind, yet every time I turned around, no one was there. It felt like a pair of eyes were on me and watching my every move, which was strange considering how I'd never noticed this when I first started walking to and from my workplace. Nope, it still shows them in the library. Maybe I was just imagining things, or maybe I was just too tired. Rolling my eyes at my own paranoia, I continue on my walk, but I didn't make it that far before... Angel! Heyo! Ugh, I could recognize those boisterous voices anywhere. The first one belonged to Jae Hyun, maybe. A guy I had met during my early days at university. He sat next to me during the first few days of orientation, and even offered to lend me his phone charger when my battery started to run out. Bye, Problematic. Enjoy Lurkington. He's a fun guy to be around, though his extroverted and energetic personality was often hard to keep up with. But Leon, the other guy, awkwardly hanging off Jay's arm, was a different story. We'd practically known each other since we were babies, but he moved away from Corlin Bay when we were still in elementary school. I wasn't sure when he moved back to the Bay, but it was great knowing I'd be able to see him again. I just wish I could find time to hang out with him just like we used to. But I was always busy with work, and he was always busy playing volleyball and taking care of his sick mother in the hospital. Before I knew it, I was being pulled out of my thoughts by Jay's bubbly laughter. Hey, still with us? Hey, Angel, finally finished with work? We were just about to head over to Club Shoreline. Do you want to come? I'm sure Leon wouldn't mind paying for you as well. Oh, I don't mind paying for her, but who said anything about paying for you? I did, just now. Thanks, Leon. You're the best. I don't miss the way Leon rolls his eye at Jay's antics before settling his gaze on me once more. You want to tag along? I really don't mind paying if you do. Sorry, guys. As much as I'd love to, I'm kind of drained from work. Maybe another time, though. Hey, no worries, darling. Just make sure you take it easy when you get back home, yeah? He shoots me a considerate smile before throwing an arm over Jay's shoulder. Well then, if you'll excuse us, I gotta find a way to get this knucklehead to cover his own entry fees. We can all catch up another time, okay? I watch as they both throw a carefree wave over their shoulders as they both head off in the direction of the nightclub a few blocks down the street. It's nice to see them again, especially since I had been so occupied with moving back home and settling in. Didn't feel like that long, but 2 months was a long time, and I somehow couldn't find a single chance to hang out with either of them yet. Oh well, there's always next time. Putting those thoughts to rest, I start making my way back home once more. Okay, so now if I look at my map... Okay, so he's somewhere over there. Okay, so that's Jay. Why is... Okay, so that's Eleanor. So this is... Oh my god, I already just lost his name. It's Jay and... Oh my god, I lost his name already. I'm so dumb. And it's not here. Davis? I don't think that was his... Either way. Eleanor's here. That's the lead, the owner. Okay. Back at home, the sounds of my microwave meal and the television filled the silence as I told Moth about my day. Like always, their webcam is pointed towards the ceiling with only half their face in the frame, but I knew it was probably because they hadn't cleaned their room in a while. At that thought, I glanced toward the growing pile of laundry in my basket and make a mental note to take care of it on my next day off. But now that I was looking at it, when did I leave it looking so messy? And since when did I leave last week's load on top? Hello, Earth Angel, you good? Sorry, what were you talking about? I was asking about that dude from earlier. Like, seriously, can't believe he gave you his number. Yeah, I'm surprised too. Yeah, no kidding. My guy literally couldn't even stutter out a complete sentence, yet he was able to shoot his shot like that? Wow, maybe his, really is big. Wait. Okay, I don't... Jeez, Moth. What? I'm just saying. But you'll let me know, right? If it really is big. Damn. I'm hanging up on you. Okay. I'm just kidding. But for real, though. Did you text him back yet? No. I thought you were supposed to make him wait a day or something. I don't want to seem too eager. So you're saying you're eager. Attention, everyone. She's eager as hell. And for a guy who doesn't even know how to grow a backbone. I'm not saying anything, but your neighbors will if you keep shouting like that. Yeah. Okay, look, if it were me, I'd text him back as soon as possible. Maybe even give him a call instead if his voice was as submissive and breathable as you said it was. I literally never said that? If that's what you want to believe. Dang it, their laughter was contagious. Why are you still talking to me anyway? Go call up your precious little Haruko 2.0. I got some webcomics I need to catch up on anyway. Oh, speaking of webcomics, did you read the latest chapter of Always Wit? Alright, I'm hanging up now. See ya, Angel. With a sigh, I watched the green call button turn red. Moth had always been terrible towards my impulse control, but I adored them either way. Spinning around in my chair, I glance over at my phone charging on the nightstand, and I decide to listen to Moth's words after all. Plopping onto my bed, I scoop my phone up and lock it. I navigate the messages app easily and open up a new contact to enter Ren's details. Moments seem to pass as I blankly stare at his number on the screen, and before I could let myself stall any longer, I finally decide on what I should do. Block his number. Let's text. Sending a text is always easier. So what if it was almost 11 at night? Before I can give myself time to rethink, I shoot Ren a short text explaining who this was and ask if he enjoyed his book. There, that should do it. It's footsteps. The response is almost immediate as my phone screen lights up in my hand. I quickly open my message app again to check. Hi, Angel. Yes, I'm reading through it right now. So far, it's really good. Exactly what I was expecting. Even the way he types seems adorable. Hope this isn't weird or anything, but I was kind of hoping you'd text back, and I'm glad you did, so thank you. Thanks for leaving your number. Oh, yeah, no worries. He seems to take his time with the next response, judging from how the gray typing bubble flashes on the bottom of the screen. I'm glad you didn't throw it away. Actually, I was wondering if you were free tomorrow. I still wanted to thank you for helping me find that book. Wow, was he serious? Like a date? He seems undecided on what to say as the gray typing bubbles keep flashing on the screen. What seems like minutes pass before he finally settles on a response. Yeah, like a date, if that's okay with you. I'll be entirely honest, I miss when people would use like these kind of emojis and like these little emoticons. Or whatever you want to call them. I've seen them called cow emojis, cow emoji, something like that. I don't know. I love these. I don't think these are cringe at all. And even if there are, I don't care. I'm going to be cringe about it because I love these emojis. I can pick you up at your place tomorrow and we can go visit the pier or something. Only if you're interested, of course. We can just do whatever you want instead if you prefer. I don't mind. So we wanted to go on a date? Well, it wasn't like I had anything planned for tomorrow. It was my day off, after all. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Besides, I can't even remember the last time I went out with someone, let alone a date. Yeah, maybe go on a date with him wouldn't be such a bad idea. Besides, Ren didn't seem that bad of a guy. I could even use this as an opportunity to get to know him better. He certainly seemed interesting. With that thought in mind, I quickly texted him back with my address and preferred time. Well, now he has our address, although I'm pretty sure he already had it. Hardly a moment passes before I get a response. Okay, sweet. I'll pick you up at around 11 a.m. then. I can't wait. Oh, I just saw the time. It's getting pretty late now, huh? I should let you get some sleep. Sorry for keeping you up so late, Angel. Good night, and thanks again for all your help. After sending him a goodnight text of my own, I place my phone down and crawl into bed. Well, today definitely didn't turn out the way I was expecting it to, but at least I scored a date with a cute guy. With his sweet words in mind, I began to drift off. So, Ren, huh? Wonder what tomorrow will bring. End of day 1. Yes. Progress has been saved. Waking up to the sounds of birds chirping outside and the sunlight filtering through my blinds, I groggily rubbed my eyes before absent-mindedly staring at the ceiling for a few moments. A lot had occurred last night, and I still needed to process most of it. But the main thing that plagued my mind was the date I had planned today with Ren, the guy I had met at the library yesterday. Reaching over my nightstand to grab my phone, I casually checked the time, only to realize that I still had a few more hours to kill. Not only that, but I also apparently received a text message from Moth at some point last night. At a glance, it appeared as though they were just ranting about the newest update for Always With You again, though I hadn't read the latest chapter yet to know all the details. Nevertheless, I read through their wall of text and memes with avid curiosity and even sent back a few of my own. Before I know it, hours seemed to pass by in a blur. Glancing back at the time on my phone once more, I noticed that it went from being 8 o'clock to 10:30. 10:30? My date with Ren was supposed to be in a half hour. I quickly let Moth know that I had to dip from the conversation before throwing my phone onto the mattress and sprinting towards the bathroom. But just as I grab a fresh towel and a change of clothes for my wardrobe, my phone buzzes once more. Assuming it was yet another text from Moth, I pick it up and put in my passcode. But what awaited me was a message from none other than Ren. Hi. Good morning, Angel. I hope I didn't wake you up. Wake. This is so embarrassing, knowing you're a librarian. I swear I can spell. Anyway, I just wanted to confirm whether or not you were still on for our date today. Because we can meet up at the beach walk if you are. It's not far from this new cafe I want to check out. Ren's messages brought a smile to my face for some reason, and I assumed it was because he just seemed just as enthusiastic as I was for today. I sent back my own affirmative text alongside a smiling Haruko sticker before going back to my bathroom and getting ready for the day. I want to see what this Haruko anime character looks like and compare. In the end, I did end up meeting Ren halfway via the boardwalk, and we decided to walk to this recently opened cafe together for lunch. Wait. Oh, she's back at the library. I'm not me without my coffee, so she's not dead. New episode, don't talk to me right now. No, violets are not blue. This weather, I'm sweating. Missing a wallet at CBL reception. Oh, so we're over here near Jay. Turning to my side, I notice how the pink-haired man tries to not so subtly sneak aside glances towards me. The arm at his side practically itches to reach out, and if I knew any better, I would have assumed he wanted to hold my hand. But instead, he simply tucks his hand into his pockets and shoots me yet another soft smile. The weather's really nice today, huh? Back to small talk, it seems. Sure is. If I had known it'd be this nice and sunny, I would have suggested spending the day at the beach instead. Yeah? Yeah, we could go for a swim or even check out the rock pools. It's been a while since I've been there. Oh, that does sound fun. Ooh, Angel! At the sound of my name being called, I turn on my heels, only to find Leon, running up to me with a sports bag full of what I assume to be his volleyball gear. Heyo, Sunfish. It's good to see you out and about this early. I was just on my way to the beach to meet up with Jay and Tio. Want to tag along? And hey, who's this? I don't think we met before, mate. Name's Leon, Angel's bestest friend in the whole wide world, yeah? I playfully roll my eyes at Leon's words and give him a slow, reluctant nod. Keep telling yourself that, but this is my friend Ren. We actually met... Sunfish? Huh? Oh, yeah. Sunfish is the cheesy nickname Leon gave me when we were kids. I don't really get it either, to be honest. So, Sunfish and Ren, was it? Nice to meet you. I hope we can get along and become good friends, too. Actually, hey, if you're both free right now, why don't we go down to the beach? I can introduce you to Jay and... Angelfish and I were about to go on a date, actually. Angelfish? A date? I don't miss the way Ray suddenly pulls my arm closer to his side, nor the way he clings onto me as though I'd suddenly disappear. You're going on dates again, Darl. Good for you. I'm glad to see that... Wait. I'm glad to see that you're coming out of your shell again. Take good care of her for me, won't you, bud? What do you think I've been doing ever since you moved away? Excuse me? Like me, Leon barely seems to notice Ren's mumbling as he rests an arm over my shoulder and starts tugging me in the direction of the beach. Ren, on the other hand, still latches onto my arm but doesn't seem to move. I can't believe my little Sunfish is out there in the dating scene again. I feel like a proud father. Oh, please, we're basically the same age. I feel like a proud, adoptive father. Leon pretends to wipe a tear away from his eye as he leans further into my shoulder, and it was only then that I noticed Ren wasn't following us. Turning around, I reach out to grab his hand instead to tug him along. He immediately seems to perk up at the action and entwines his fingers with mine before falling into step. All right, as fun as it was to catch up with my proud, adoptive father, who's the same age as me, which makes things kind of weird, Ren and I do need to get going. Oh, yeah, of course. I didn't mean to take up so much of your time. He unhooks his arm from around my shoulder and inclines his head towards the beach one more time. But my offer still stands. If you want to catch up some more, I'll be down at the beach with... Oi! Speak of the devil. Much like Jay, Theodore was another friend I made in university. But if I was being honest here, I don't think he was actually enrolled in anything. He just showed up every so often to keep his attendance rate up and to antagonize some of the students and staff. As if reading my mind, Tio practically runs into Red with the sole purpose of sending him tumbling into the metal railing behind him. But luckily, Ren manages to catch his footing on the last second, sending Tio an annoyed scowl of his own. Oh, crap. Sorry about that. I'm not sure how I missed such a brightly colored children's mascot. All right, there's no need for that here. Despite Leon's tone, Tio barely pays the shorter male any mind, seemingly far more interested in Ren instead. Let me guess, you're dressed up as Benny the Buttercup? My 4-year-old cousin would love you. Oi, knock it off, mate. What's your problem? Dunno, what's yours? I could practically feel the tension between the two grow, so I decided to step in. Maybe you should introduce each other first before you try glaring each other to death. Tio, this is Ren. He's my, well, I'm her boyfriend. Well, that was certainly one way to put it, especially without discussing it with me beforehand and asking for my opinion. At his words, I shoot Ren a confused glance, but the determined look on his face had me biting back my words. Okay then. Anyway, this is Tio. He's... I've never seen this man in my life. He's a friend from university. Aw, you consider us friends? That's real cute, doll. Are we not friends? You always used to show up to some of my classes at university. Which was weird because I'm pretty sure we studied different things. Maybe I just wanted to see you. Oh, how uncharacteristically thoughtful of him. Or see what you were wearing underneath. Well then, never mind. Okay, enough. Look, why don't we just drop the issue? You really need to stop trying to pick fights with everyone, mate. Aw, don't get your panties in a twist. I seriously doubt Buttercup's capable of harming a fly, let alone able to throw a decent punch. Dude, you're so gonna die in the most gruesome way. You can drop the nickname. Nah, but I think Dollface over here should drop you instead. Besides, the nickname's kinda cute. Matches your style pretty well, don't you think, Buttercup? I could see Ren's hand clench into a fist as he advances toward Tio, but thankfully, Leon steps in once more. Seriously, why don't we all cool off, yeah? I think we're getting a bit too heated. Look, we're gonna head down to the beach. I don't miss the way Leon sends Tio a sharp glare. Are you sure you don't want to join us, Angel? Promise to make sure that Tio stays on his best behavior. Sorry, Leo, but I've already made plans with Ren. And I seriously doubt they'll be able to get along. You know how Tio can get. Yeah, you got a point there. Well, alright then. He leans closer to me, almost as if he didn't want the other two eavesdropping. If anything happens, I'll be in the area. Just come find me, okay? I will. Thanks, Leon. I gave his arm a soft squeeze and turned my attention back to Ren. But by the way he looks at us, I can only assume that he didn't like how close I was standing to my childhood friend. Though that could have also been because Tio was still around, and honestly, I couldn't blame him. Regardless, I reach for his hand once more and tug him toward the cafe, making a point of ignoring Tio's crass words as we went along. I barely notice how Ren's mood immediately changes when my attention is back on him, and he follows along like a lost puppy. Tio, you're gonna die. We eventually arrive at the Driftwood Cafe, and the smell of fresh pastries and brewed coffee flood my senses as it wafts through the open windows. And just as I had thought, the cafe looked as though it had only recently opened, though it didn't seem as busy or crowded as I anticipated. Pulling me from my thoughts, Ren ushers me into one of the empty tables before he goes off to make an order with a pleased look on his face. It was a bit strange how he didn't want to look at the menu first, but I chalked it up to him wanting to surprise me. He's barely gone for 5 minutes before he returns once more, taking a seat in front of me with a huff. A comfortable silence washes over us, and I watch as he absent-mindedly fiddles with the ends of his hair. Was he still concerned about what Tio said about his appearance earlier? Maybe it'd be a good idea to take his mind off of it. Hey, Ren. Almost immediately, he perks up with wide eyes. How do you manage to keep your hair so fluffy? It always looks so good. Ren seems to flush instantly at my word, and he sheepishly ducks his head lower to hide his reddening cheeks. Exactly. You like it? I usually just angle a blowdryer below my chin and blast the heat, and it just stays like that afterwards. Oh, so you don't need to use any products or anything? Not really. Just when I thought he got over his timid personality, it slowly came crawling back. Was this really who he was? Ren must have taken my silence as a lack of a response, seeing as he tries striking up another conversation. So, work's going good for you, huh? Finally got that promotion? Yeah, I did. I was honestly surprised when I first got my promotion, considering how I've only moved back here recently. He is pretty. He's very pretty. But Eleanor has been really helpful by showing me the ropes and... Wait, how do you know I got promoted? Oh, your coworker told me about it yesterday after you left. Eleanor, right? She seemed really proud of you. Anyway, what were you saying about her showing you the ropes? I barely noticed how he managed to change the conversation back to me as I recounted all the times Eleanor helped me through my first weeks of working at the library. It eventually reached the point where it felt like I had been talking for hours, and it wasn't until something caught my eye I finally stop. Oh, absolutely. You've got something in your hair. Huh? At my words, Ren seems almost bashful as he sheepishly starts picking at the strands of his pink hair, but he seems to miss the small piece of fluff, no matter how many times he tugs at its roots. Here, let me. Stifling a laugh, I reach over the table to pluck the offending item out of his hair. Ren only seems to lean closer into my touch, while his cheeks flush a light shade of red, and just as I pull the piece of fluff out... Order 25! Oh, that's us. Wait right here, I'll be right back. Before I could get a word in, Ren was jumping out of his seat and meandering his way towards the kiosk. It really was a sight to behold, seeing Wren tower over most of the other customers who were waiting in line. Even the cashier herself, who seemed to be at least 6 feet tall, had to crane her neck upwards just to look at him. But before I could blink twice, Wren was already on his way back with a large tray full of delicious food. He seats himself back in his original spot with a pleased smile and begins to lay out the dishes in front of me. Oh, this is... Ooh. I love chocolate croissants! A croissant with chocolate filling sits next to my beverage, and I almost heard my stomach rumble at the sight. How did Wren know that that was my favorite thing to order? Granted, it wasn't like I've been to the Driftwood Cafe before, but this was usually what I'd order at any other cafe. What, you don't like chocolate croissants? Chocolate croissants are good. It was honestly like he could read my mind. And what was even more mind-boggling was that he didn't even need to look at the menu beforehand. It was like he just knew. Don't forget your drink. They are. Very good. Wren shoots me another gentle smile of his before placing my drink before me. No way! The drink he placed in front of me, it was... latte. Don't give me no coffee. I say I drink coffee, but honestly I drink like a powdered cappuccino. I don't drink like dark coffee, and it's got like I always put 2 spoonfuls of sugar in with it. And I don't really drink... I drink smoothies, but only like fruit smoothies, only if I make it myself, just because like I'm a very like cautious person about what goes in it with all the different things that make me sick. Coffee, black, blech. Blech. Gross. That's too dark. It's just too bitter. I could tell by that scent that he ordered me a nice warm latte, just like the ones I usually bring on my way to work sometimes. I hope this is okay. Unfortunately, this cafe doesn't really have much to offer, judging from the menu I saw online. Ah, so that's how he knew what to order. I even tried asking for napkins earlier, but I don't think they heard me. Maybe I should try again? I almost felt bad for him, but I also felt grateful for ordering me something that I'd normally eat at a cafe. Wren makes sure everything is on the table before putting the tray aside, and it was then that when I noticed what he'd ordered himself. On his plate sat a strawberry sweet roll alongside a cup of coffee that was an alarming shade of black. He seems to pick up on my inquisitive stare, if the innocent tilt of his head was anything to go by. Do you really want my meal instead? We could swap if you want. I don't mind. This was supposed to be a date, right? Deciding to tease him a little, I shoot Wren a sly grin. That's okay, but you could offer me a bite instead. Wren almost seems to combust on the spot as his cheeks turn red and he almost chokes on his own spit. He looks down at his food before glancing back at me, only to look down once more to scoop up a bite-sized piece of his food. I watch as Wren's cheeks turn a deep shade of red while he brings his fork closer to me, and not wanting to be seen as a coward, I lean in to take a bite. His eyes widen almost immediately, and he seems hyper-focused on the way my mouth wraps around the fork before I lick my lips and let out a pleased hum. It's yummy. Try some. The pink-haired man seems to have an awkwardly long staring contest with his own fork before scooping up yet another small piece and taking a bite. Wren's cheeks are still scarlet red, and he seems almost fidgety with how his legs keep bouncing under the table, so I decide to take pity on him and not tease him for it. With a knowing smile, I start digging into my own meal with a pleased hum. Eventually, we ended up finishing our meals and decided to do a bit of window shopping to pass the time. I had nothing else to do today, and Wren seemed insistent on spending the rest of his time with me, so I agreed. We passed by a few clothing stores, ice cream stands, surfboard rentals, and many other interesting buildings, though nothing really caught my interest. But just as I thought I'd lost all hope, one store in particular catches my eye. In one of the display windows, I spot this cute little rabbit plushie in the style of Haruko's likeness. Alright, so they're still at the beach. Okay, those are all those guys. Okay. That little map tells me where people are. So I guess that Eleanor's not dead like I originally thought, because she moved from being at the library to somewhere else, and now she's back at the library with the boss. I mean, it even came with his limited edition sorcerer outfit and everything. I couldn't believe they were selling these things here, of all places, and at such a cheap price, too. Okay, side note. Yes, I am. So I have, like, this little mini-map that tells me where people are. I guess it's, like, kind of like, what was it? Snapchat or something had that for a little while. Where, like, you could find out where people are. Or, like, where they were. So I'm keeping tabs on everybody because I'm fully convinced that somebody's gonna die here soon. If it's Tio, I'll be okay with that. Yes way. Renzi, whoop. Go on eBay. I don't want to go on eBay. Stuff's overpriced on eBay. Besides, supposedly, from what I've heard, the like best merch is on like AliExpress, and I use AliExpress. Well, I don't use it a lot, but like I've bought plenty of things on AliExpress, so if anything, I'll probably go there. Ren seems to take notice of what I was not so subtly gawking at, but before we could enter the store, the cashier walks in front of the display stand and blocks our view. She drops a box of miscellaneous items at her feet and begins stocking the shelf next to the plushies, before she finally notices us standing by the window. I don't miss the way her eyes widen at Ren, obviously taking an immediate liking to him, and almost shamelessly pushes a strand of hair behind her ears before giving him a small wave. Sneaking a glance at the taller man beside me, I noticed how Ren wasn't even paying any attention to her, instead keeping himself busy by scratching at his jaw and kicking at the stray cobblestone rocks by his feet. But the cashier seemed adamant about getting Ren's attention, considering how she felt the need to abandon her spot by the shelves and make her way towards us. Hi there, welcome to Seaside Trinkets. My name is Olivia. Can I help you with anything? Oh, no, we're just looking around, but thanks for... We recently got some new beachwear merch if you're interested in checking them out. Was she seriously ignoring me? AliExpress. It's, well, you can get it on your phone, or you can look it up. It's just a place where you can buy stuff. Generally, it's coming straight from, like, China and stuff like that. Which I believe Love and D Space is a Chinese original game from China, so that would make sense as to why most of their merch can be found on AliExpress pretty easily. Stuff is usually relatively cheaper on there, can be cheaper on there. And a lot of people will complain and be like, oh, well, it's all bootlegs. And it's like, well, I mean, some of it probably is, but I mean, honestly, you're going to find some of the bootleg stuff on eBay and American websites too, so, you know, be smart. Oh, you kind of look like someone I know. Have we met before? Maybe we went to the same school. Me? I don't think so. Really? I definitely would remember a face like yours. Actually, now that I've got a good look at you, I watch as she shamelessly takes in Ren's appearance before crossing her arms over her chest and leaning back. You also remind me of one of those characters from a cartoon that's been gaining a ton of traction here. Apparently, one of the locations from that show is based on Corlin Bay's main beach. Are you talking about Attack on Giant? Attack on Giant? Totally not Attack on Titan. Is that the name of it? Then yeah. I don't really know much about those cartoons, but our company recently started selling some stuff for it to entice the tourists. Do you want to come inside and take a look? Actually, do you want my number as well? Here. You had this prepared? Of course. You always need to be ready in case any cuties walk into the store. I wouldn't want to sound like a hypocrite or anything. Ren looks at me with a shy, knowing look before he hesitantly reaches out to take the piece of paper. A hypocrite? Oh, right. Ren did leave his number on that pink sticky note yesterday. I'd almost forgotten about that. But did he really have it prepared beforehand? Admittedly, the thought was kind of endearing, though. Before I have the chance to dwell on it any further, Ren cuts me off by subtly handing me Olivia's number. Wait, what? He didn't want to pocket her number? Glancing up at the pink-haired man, I press him for more answers. Huh? My confusion must have been blatantly obvious since Ren was quick to explain his intentions. With a mischievous grin, he leans closer to whisper in my ear. Maybe we could prank call her later? That'll teach her not to give her number out to strangers. But isn't that what you did with me, Ren? I match his teasing smile with my own. Touché, but I haven't received any prank calls from you, though. Don't jinx it. Just as Ren lets out a puff of laughter at my joke, Olivia cuts him off. Hello? I'm still here. Oh, right. Sorry. Anyway, now that you've got my number and I've got your attention again, I think it's only fair I show you around the store. I don't do this for just anybody, you know. Ren doesn't seem to answer her initial question, nor does he seem to outright respond to her, and instead casts an inquisitive glance in my direction. It's like he was asking for my opinion, and I can only assume it was because he knew about my interest in anime. It was thoughtful of him to do that, but I kind of wanted him to tell that rude worker off instead. Wait, did I really want him to do that? What was wrong with me? I'm sure that the cashier just took an interest in him, and there was nothing wrong with that. No, excuse me. Excuse me. You don't walk up to a guy who's with a girl and immediately start flirting. And especially completely ignoring. Like if I walked up to a guy and who was with a girl and just started flirting with him and ignoring the girl, nah, that's not cool. It's not like we were a couple anyway, but we were supposed to be on a date right now, and Ren did declare himself as my boyfriend earlier. But I just assume he said that in order to get Tio off my back. Does that mean, was he feeling the same way as me? Was jealousy on his mind when he talked with Leon and Tio earlier? I wasn't sure how I felt about this new discovery. Angel? Huh? Do you want to go look at the items? We've still got a bit of time to kill. Here, why don't I show you the most recent stock? We haven't shown this to the general public yet, but I'm sure you'll love it. Without warning, Olivia, was that her name? Reaches out for Ren's arm and practically drags him inside the store. He lets out a surprised sound before leaning back and trying to grab hold of my arm as well, but I was just out of his reach. There was nothing else I could do but watch as Ren helplessly gets pulled into the store. It's back here in the stock rooms. Usually we don't allow customers downstairs, but you're a real hottie, so I'll let you take a sneak peek. No, actually, I'm good. Don't worry, we won't get caught. I'm sure your girlfriend won't mind if I borrow you for a bit. I'll even throw in some of those cartoon stickers for you. Surely that'll make it worth your time. The wink she sends him felt a little excessive, and I honestly wish Ren would turn around so I could gauge his reaction. But instead, he leans in closer to her face and whispers in a hushed tone that I could barely hear from my spot outside the store. If she wasn't right now, I would have down the stair without a thought. And honestly, there's nothing more I'd rather do. From their current position, it looked as though they were having a really intimate conversation, and I felt the sudden urge to look away. Why was I getting so bothered over this? I know we aren't exactly together, but Ren shouldn't be off flirting with other people while on a date with someone else. I would never want to be in a relationship with someone who wasn't considerate of my feelings, and up until now, I honestly thought Ren would have had a chance. Guess I was wrong. But still, there was this nagging voice at the back of my head that kept telling me not to give up on him so easily. Ren was the one who confidently stood his ground when Tio got a bit suggestive, so maybe I should do the same? Would he even mind? Before I can stop myself, my feet start to move on autopilot as I march towards the two of them and reach for Ren's sleeve. I give it a hesitant tug, and I swear I could almost feel the relief wash over his body because of it. Ren's entire demeanor seems to change in that moment, and he turns to me with a relieved smile on his soft features. I don't really have any interest in this store. Can we go somewhere else? Yeah, of course. Wait, hold on. Ren carelessly shoves Olivia's outstretched hand aside and gently places an arm over my shoulder instead. And just like that, he's already guiding me out of the store and back onto the busy street. I can hear Olivia sputter out confused sounds as she watches the two of us leave, and I suddenly feel guilty for causing a rift between them. Did he, okay, just curious, just going off of what I read, did he threaten to throw that girl down the stairs if I wasn't standing there? Because that's what it came off like to me. And honestly, minus the threat of it, but I'm here for that. A girl starts flirting with your boyfriend is like, if my girlfriend wasn't here, I would throw you down a set of stairs. Be like, aw, babe, thanks. There's something wrong in my head. No matter how many times to try to brush it aside, I still couldn't get my mind off of what had just occurred earlier. What if Ren was interested in her? Granted, he probably shouldn't have blatantly flirted with her while on a date with me, but he wasn't exactly the most confident guy. Would he still be able to talk to her again if things didn't work out between us? No, I shouldn't be thinking like that. Peering up to gauge his expression, I noticed how he didn't really look all that upset about leaving her. If anything, he seemed rather content to be walking down the street with his fingers entwined with mine once more. I can feel him give my hand a protective squeeze as he looks down at me with his soft blue eyes, and all of my worries somehow melt away. Maybe I did make the right choice after all. It might have been selfish, but it was worth having Ren look at me with such a gentle expression. Eventually, the sun starts to set behind the ocean as Ren and I continue to walk along the beach walk. Most of the conversation was geared towards me and my interests again, but every time I tried to learn more about Ren, he only seemed to divert the conversation back to me once more. But the more I focused on this odd behavior, the more I began to pick up on his social habits as well. I learned that Ren would steadily pick at the sleeves of his cardigan whenever he got nervous, or he'd scratch at his jaw whenever the conversation strayed down a path he didn't feel comfortable with. His little quirks told me more about himself than the dead-end conversations that only led back to me, and I was content with knowing more about him than I did yesterday. Ren no longer felt like a stranger I had met at a library, but rather someone I could consider a friend. Except, friends aren't supposed to get jealous whenever they see them flirt with someone else. Geez, what was wrong with me? It had barely been 2 days, and I was already contemplating whether or not I truly saw Ren in a romantic light. Was I going too fast? All these thoughts were starting to get a bit overwhelming, and... Angel? Hello? Huh? You're spacing out on me again. There's that look again. He keeps peering down at me with so much adoration in his eyes, and if I didn't know any better, I would think that he was already halfway in love with me. But that was a very conceited thought, and probably wasn't even true. Sorry, I was just thinking about things. Whew! Sorry. Are you going to share those things with the rest of the class? He sends me a playful smile and a gentle nudge into my side, and I couldn't help but laugh. When did we become so comfortable with each other? And when did he lose his stutter? It's nothing, really. Maybe a bit embarrassing, but... Well, I was wondering, how do you feel about... My sentence gets cut short when a drop of rain lands on my cheek. Instinctively, I look up and find myself wondering how I didn't notice those dark clouds in the sky sooner. All of a sudden, more droplets fall down until it's all about pouring rain and forcing everyone in the area to find cover. Over here. Ren doesn't seem to pay much attention when he grabs me by the hand and pulls me underneath one of the awnings of a nearby building. He shields me from the rain with his body, and I couldn't help but feel tiny with the way his arms cage me in as he rests them against the wall. We look at each other in silence for a brief moment before erupting into laughter. Perhaps it was because of the adrenaline from all the panicked running, or the fact that Ren's hair was starting to lose its fluffiness, but I couldn't hold back from letting out a fit of giggles. This only seems to spur Ren on as well, until we're both wheezing out our lungs and gulping down air. I can't remember the last time I ran that fast. Me too. The looming sound of thunder echoes from afar and drowns out our laughter until we're both silent once more. Once we both calm down, Ren moves me further away from the rain before casting a glance behind him. Wait here. I'll buy us an umbrella so we can get out of this rain. But you'll get soaked. It's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. I roll my eyes at his corny joke and send him off with an amused smile. He doesn't look back before he makes a mad dash out into the rain and down the street towards the closest convenience store. Though the rain only seems to get heavier the moment he leaves, and I find myself pressing even further against the wall behind me to avoid the recoil of the rain bouncing off the pavement. There wasn't much for me to do while I waited for Ren to return, aside from watching people scramble around for shelter. And just like that, the carefree sounds of laughter echoing from down the street capture my attention as I watch Leon, Tio, and Jay all run for cover like their life depended on it. Well, it seems as though their beach outing got cut short as well. Glancing back once more, I barely make out the figure of Leon using his bag as a makeshift umbrella as he ducks under one of the awnings of an ice cream stand, all while Tio and Jay trail behind at a leisurely pace, kicking and splashing water at each other in the rain. I had to look away the moment Tio started to remove his shirt, and I had an inkling that it was so that he could show off. And knowing Jay, he'd follow along without a care in the world, because that's what he always does when it comes to his friends. A part of me felt like calling out to the group to see if I could wait out the storm alongside them, but they all seemed to be enjoying themselves, and I didn't want to get in between that. Plus, I did promise Ren that I'd wait for him here. Even if he was taking his sweet time, was he ever going to return? There was still no sign of him or his comfy-looking cardigan, and I was beginning to wonder if he really did ditch me. After all, it must have been more than 15 minutes by now. Oh, that's the shop girl. Okay. What if he got caught up with something? Or what if he went back to see that cashier lady again? Her store did happen to be on the same street, but after spending the afternoon with Ren and getting to know him, I concluded that he wasn't the type of person to do such a thing. Plus, that'd be a really low blow considering that he was the one who offered to take me out on a date today. Although, if I was being honest with myself, it did seem as though they had chemistry. So wait. We can check. BTB spotted at the pair. What the fuck? The tits on that man? Holy moly! What? Shop girl. Whose titties you looking at? Don't like coffee? I'm not a big fan of like coffee, but I'll drink like, like frappuccinos, cappuccinos, whatever you want to call them. That's what I have. I have like these little like, it's like a cappuccino powder, and I add just as many scoopfuls of sugar as I do the cappuccino powder. So I'm mostly drinking sugar water with a little bit of flavoring. What does BTB mean? BTB. Hold on. I'm too old for this. Not business to business. Believed to be. I don't think that means that at all. I'm too old. Especially with how she looked at him and touched his arm as though it was the most natural thing in the world. She apparently knew him as well, or at least he looked recognizable enough. Why did that thought make my blood boil? Thankfully, the rain was there to cool me off, as well as soak the ends of my outfit and make everything feel damp and uncomfortable. Was Ren really coming back? Shouldn't take this long to buy an umbrella. I'll wait for him. I mean, I imagine a store that's selling umbrellas and it just all of a sudden started pouring down rain might be a little busy. Maybe something did come up. I'm sure he'll come back. And as if on cue, I spot a familiar patch of pink hair from within the misty rain, frantically sprinting with an umbrella in one hand and a bag under the other. Angel. Ah. He almost slams into me before stopping just in time, and I could tell by the way he was wheezing that he ran all the way back here without stopping. Sorry, I thought I almost lost you there for a second. It's so hard to see in this weather. Geez, Ren, what took you so long? I almost wanted to cuss him out for taking well over 20 minutes just to buy a single umbrella, but the genuinely apologetic look on his features made me hold my tongue. Sorry, I ran into your friends from earlier, which took forever for me to shake them off. And then the convenience store ended up closing early due to the sudden weather change. So then I had to go to that awful souvenir shop with that obnoxious and clingy cashier, and oh, she dead. Did you murder her? Did you actually throw her down the stairs? He was talking a mile a minute, and I was worried he'd end up biting his tongue. Gently, I raise a hand to signal him to calm down, and his intense monologue soon comes to a halt. I'm really sorry about making you wait so long, but ta-da! I did manage to get an umbrella, among other things as well. He gives it a small twirl in his hand, sending droplets of water all over the place. We can start heading back home now if you want, unless you want to go somewhere specific. Where do you want to go? Well, my place isn't far. We could wait out the storm there if you'd like. I even have a heater and dryer we could use. The image of me sitting in front of a warm, cozy heater was too hard to resist, and I ended up agreeing with Ren's suggestion. What's in the bag? Despite the heavy downpour of rain, we managed to make it to Ren's apartment complex in one piece. I guess he really wasn't lying when he said his apartment wasn't far from mine, but judging from the pristine interior and fully functioning elevator, his building seemed to be in far better shape compared to my apartment. The elevator ride could have been a little less awkward, though, if it weren't for the slow ascend and tacky music. Or for the fact that Ren deemed it appropriate to shake his hair like a wet dog and get water droplets everywhere. Once the elevator doors slid open, I was immediately met with a grandiose corridor and large, spacious doors. I found myself wondering how much it cost to live in a large place like this. Don't look too hard at how messy my place is, okay? I wasn't expecting to have someone over today, so I didn't bother cleaning up. I'm sure it's not as bad as my place, or the entire apartment I live in, for that matter. Oh, that bad, huh? Maybe you could live with me instead. Sorry, did you say something? No. I mean, well, I was just thinking. It's a bit strange, but no one lives on this floor aside from me. I'm not really sure why, but I'm not gonna complain. I can make as much noise as I want, and no one would notice. Ren shoots me a mischievous grin, and I find myself wondering what he meant by that. Like you didn't know, girl. Come on now. Like loud music and stuff? Movies? Yeah, something like that. He unlocks the door with some electronic card attached to his keychain, and the moment the door swings open, I let out an audible gasp. Ren doesn't seem phased in the slightest as he flicks on the light and walks into his own home, but I could only stand at the entrance to his foyer in shock. Yes, foyer. He had a whole dang foyer in his apartment. Foyer? Is it foyer or foyer? I don't know. I've always said foyer, but I've also heard it said foyer. Was this even an apartment? Surely a penthouse would have made more sense. Holy crap, Ren. Is there something wrong? What is it? I know the decor is kind of tacky, but it came with the apartment, and I haven't found time to do anything about it yet. I'm sorry, but are you the long-lost heir of a billionaire or something? This place is huge. And hello? Is that marble? No, I get paid a lot from my job. Enough to afford rent, at least. You know, I don't think I've asked you this yet, but what exactly is your job? My job is, well, bitch is a hitman. I guess you could say I'm a programmer. I don't know, I just take on a few jobs every so often. Nothing super fancy or anything. He's a hacker. He's hacking the mainframe. Nothing super fancy? Ren, you have marble flooring. Leaving the newly discovered programmer at the entrance, I curiously venture further into his apartment. Marble's a pain in the rear to clean, too. Oh, Angel, do you want some slippers? The floors can get cold, and your shoes are probably soaked, right? Turning around, I notice Ren opening a small closet and pulling out a pair of dark house slippers. He looks at me with a curious expression, but makes no effort to hand them over. Only if you want them. I'll take them, but only because they look like they're Doochie. Doochie. Ren lets out a puff of laughter through his nose at my joke, but doesn't seem to deny it. Were those slippers really from a luxury brand? As I put them on, I noticed how they were in my exact size, and it made me wonder if he had bought a bunch of expensive house slippers in various sizing. But as funny as that imagery was, how did Ren accurately guess my shoe size without seeing my feet? Here, why don't I show you to the bathroom? I'll find you something to wear in the meantime while your clothes are in the dryer. Or would you prefer a towel instead? I guess that'd make more sense. Sorry, I don't usually have people over. Seeing his timid side resurface once more gave me the sudden urge to tease him. Just a towel? Just a towel? Nothing else? Yeah, to keep you warm instead of taking a shower. Unless you prefer a blanket, because I'm pretty sure I have an electric... Oh. It was as if all the gears inside his head were finally clicking together. The violent shaking. No, I didn't mean... I meant a towel that you can wear over your clothes. Not just you in a towel, unless you'd want to... But that's... Why would you... I'm just gonna shut up now. Sorry. That wasn't what I meant at all, but his reaction was priceless nonetheless. Anyway, I'll show you to the bathroom. You can use whatever you want in there. Nothing's off limits. First, it was offering to spend the night at my place, then it was asserting himself as my boyfriend in front of my friends. He really doesn't care about personal boundaries, huh? I was beginning to think that Ren didn't really seem to mind when it came to me invading his personal bubble as well, though he still seemed pretty standoffish around Tio and Leon, and it took him a while to warm up to Eleanor back at the library. But I chalked it all up to him being his usual shy and eccentric self. Speaking of being shy, I still noticed how Ren didn't seem to be switching up his personality as much anymore. I was beginning to think that he was showing me his real side. Leon! Yeah. Similar haircut to Leon. Leon Scott Kennedy. Up until now, everything felt real and genuine, and I found that we could bounce back witty retorts between each other more easily. Though every now and again he might slip up and stutter, but I just assumed it was because my teasing made him flustered. So maybe the timid side of him was genuine after all? But I'll leave some clothes for you outside and put the plushie I bought for you in your room. In your room? My room? Do I have a room in your house, sir? Huh? Oh, yeah, thanks. Great, I was zoning out again and completely missed half of what he was saying. Something about clothes and a plushie he bought? Was he talking about the Haruko plushie I was eyeing up earlier? I mean, he was carrying a gift bag from that souvenir shop earlier. Did he really buy me that toy? Ren, however, doesn't seem to pick up on my confusion, though, and invitingly opens the bathroom door for me with a soft smile. And so, without trying to make things awkward, I quickly slip inside and lean against the door for support. Which was fortunate for me, because one sweep of the bathroom had me stumbling back in surprise. Jesus! Whoa. Even his restroom looked expensive. I was afraid of touching anything, fearing I'd accidentally break it and end up paying for it. Glancing around again, I noticed how his countertops seemed to be void of any dental care, hairbrushes, skincare products, though a few bottles of concealer and an open box of hair dye sat in the corner near the sink. Well, I guess that answers my burning question on whether or not he naturally had pink hair, but now it made me wonder, if Ren does dye his hair, then what was his natural hair color? There were still so many things I didn't know about that soft-looking guy. I was beginning to question whether coming here was a good idea or not. Girl, you went to a guy's house. Okay, so she's over there now, so he didn't murder her, per se. Eleanor's still at the library. Our boss is at his house. Jay's at his home, and they're at that home. These two are together. Or nearby each other. With a sigh, I decide not to waste any more time thinking about irrelevant things, and instead turn my attention back to the shower. Quickly stripping out of my clothes, I jump into the unnecessarily large glass booth and turn the water on. Glancing at Ren's shelf of, albeit limited, hair and body products, I couldn't help but notice that one brand in particular just so happened to be the exact same as mine. Did we use the same body wash? He didn't really smell like me, but maybe that was because I wasn't paying much attention? I mean, who randomly smells people out of the blue anyway? Shaking my head at such a silly notion, I begin to scrub away the lingering smell of rain from my body and quickly finish washing up. Bundled up in a warm towel, I crack open the large door and poke my head out into the hallway. True to his word, Ren left a small pile of clothing outside the bathroom, neatly stacked and propped against the side of the wall. Bringing the contents back inside, I noticed that one piece of clothing in particular was a rather comfy-looking hoodie. The design on the front, however, was rather morbid-looking and didn't really suit Ren's vibes. Maybe from a horror film or something? Ugh. Shrugging my shoulders, I put the hoodie on and instantly get enveloped by the sheer amount of fabric. I mean, it made sense considering Ren's large and lanky frame, but this was just absurd. I had to stifle a laugh from the amusing sight and the fogged-up mirror, but I had to admit that the soft fabric felt nice and warm against my skin. Even the scent that came from it felt oddly comforting somehow. Turning back to the remaining clothes in the pile, I gently pick up the next item and try to put it on. The gray sweatpants didn't seem to fit the length of my legs, despite the number of times I tried to roll up the elastic, but luckily Ren was thoughtful enough to give me other alternatives. The dark pair of shorts seemed like the better option, especially since it came with a drawstring and deep pockets. Once I was fully dressed, I stepped out of the bathroom and aimlessly walk around until I hear faint sounds of a TV playing. Feeling curious, I follow the source of the sound down the hallway. Breaking news. A sudden storm hits the bay as gale force winds and knock over the street signs and even awnings. Believe that a sudden change in weather will die down soon, and to stay safe indoor. I continue to follow the noise until it suddenly cuts out and changes into a glaring monotone sound, indicating that the television must have lost all signal. And soon enough, I find myself in Ren's spacious lounge room. Aside from the TV, the rest of the lights were off, but I could still make out most of the dark shapes within the room with ease. It was just as ostentatious as the rest of this house, although I couldn't help but feel like it lacked any form of life. It just didn't seem like someone actually lived here. The furniture was gaudy yet tasteless. There was hardly any personal decoration or colors, and there was nothing that really screamed Ren to me. There was no personal touches, photos, items, hobbies, nothing. Just tacky furniture and the bland smell of something sterile. If I was being honest, it gave off the same vibe as a dentist clinic or a hospital. Maybe he recently moved in? Who moved in? Now, wait a minute. Where were those... Where were the stripies that were on your throat? I'm confusioned. Surprised by the sudden voice, I spin on my heel only to find Ren coming out from one of the hallways with a new set of comfy clothing. He seemed much more at ease like this, especially with the gentle expression on his face. I watch as he takes a respectful glance at my attire before sheepishly averting his attention to the ends of his sleeves. Sorry, that's the only pair of clothing I could find that might fit you. It looks really good on you, though. Oh, thanks. You can even keep them if you want. The sound of thunder rumbling in the distance cuts off Ren's mumbling, and I involuntarily step closer to him. Without missing a beat, he reaches out and rests a protective hand on my shoulder to steady me. Ren idly glances out the window before turning his undivided attention back to me once more, only this time with a determined look. It's really pouring, huh? I could only nod my head at his words, suddenly feeling sheepish all of a sudden. I really should have checked the weather forecast before I went out today. But to be fair, it didn't look as though it had started spontaneously raining when I left my apartment this morning. Ow, ow. And then we decided to play a soft romance game with somebody who may or may not be a murderer. We haven't figured that out yet. And I guess I was enjoying my time with Ren to the point where I didn't even realize the weather was turning sour. Angel? Sorry, what did you say? I just asked if you wanted to stay the night here. You know, seeing how hard it's raining out there and your clothes haven't finished drying yet. I just asked if you wanted to stay the night here. You know, seeing how hard... Oh, wait, I already said that. It'd be no trouble. I really wouldn't mind at all, but only if you want to, of course. Staying at his place for the night? Well, this certainly isn't how I expected to end my day. But would it really be that bad? It definitely beats waiting out the storm and walking home with a bunch of puddles everywhere. Ooh... Well, I wonder, should I spend the night or should I spend the night? I kind of like the glitchy option. Let's go with the glitchy option. Or... This is a tough choice. I'm not sure which to I guess we'll spend the night. That seems like the better option of the two, right? Wait, what was that? Did I really want to stay the night at Ren's place? I guess I did. I couldn't really remember otherwise. I guess I could stay if that's really okay with you. Does he have some, like, mind corruption powers? Yeah, of course. It's totally fine. Wow, he really was an energetic, eccentric man, wasn't he? Let me know if you need any more pillows or blankets. Or if the room gets too cold. I haven't worked out how to use the fancy heater system yet, but I can definitely try. Also, you already know where the bathroom is, but if you... Okay, I think I got it, Ren. Be safe driving, Malice! Obey all traffic laws, no speeding. I shoot him a reassuring smile as I turn to face him at the door. I should have gotten used to his attentive and observant behavior by now, but it still felt like a foreign side of him that I hadn't fully uncovered. Still, at least he wasn't stuttering as much anymore. He's got like a little tattoo there on his hip, I see it. That's a very low part of his hip, too. I know, sorry. I just want you to be as comfortable as possible, so just treat this house like it's your own. Cleaning up. Enjoy your cleaning up. Is it dead bodies? Is it blood? No, I'm just kidding. Alright, gotcha. He looks like he doesn't want to leave, and instead lingers in front of the door a little while longer. Are you sure there isn't anything else you need? Anything at all? Nothing. Can I get a good night kiss? Can I sleep in your bed? What's behind that locked door? Oh, I should stop flashing that. Obviously dead bodies. I don't know if I should say good night kiss or sleep in his bed. Because part of me wants to do this. But we'll see if we can get a good night kiss. It's not nighttime. It's not nighttime yet. Can I get a good night kiss? Almost sheepishly, I dared to look up and gauge Ren's reaction to my words. He seems to be taking it best he can, judging from how bright red his cheeks and neck get, and the fact that he can't seem to look me in the eyes. Ren, don't get all shy on me now. Before I could finish my sentence, Ren was already leaning down and pressing his soft lips against my own. I barely noticed the way his hands gently hold my shoulder to keep me steady as his head tilts to the side. This kiss was brief and chaste, but it still made both of us flustered. That's how cat kiss. Whap, whap. Is that okay? Uh-huh. Okay, good. I'm glad. Before I can even respond, he's already turning on his heels and speed-walking towards his own room. Shaking my head at his odd behavior, I close the door behind me and slowly make my way towards the bed. I notice that the Haruko plushie Ren had bought earlier was sitting atop the sheets, and I gently bring it closer to my chest to give it a soft squeeze. I want to see the Haruko! I want to see this character to see how closely they look to each other. Dang! So he really did buy this for me after all? The faintest hint of cherry and mint emits from the toy, and makes my mind drift to thoughts of that strange, pink-haired man once more. He was still as odd as usual, but some parts of him were starting to feel rather endearing. I noticed how he was no longer stuttering as much or acting as shy, and it made me wonder if we were getting closer. Now that I really thought about it, how did I feel about Ren? Give me the choice. How will I respond? He's kind of creepy. I think I like him. I'm crushing on him. Well, it wouldn't be an Otome game if I wasn't crushing on him. Okay, so maybe I did find him rather endearing. Jump his bones. And attractive. Do you know, funny enough, this is the streamer version. There is an 18+ version of this game. But I'm playing the streamer version, which cuts that part out. Ren was very considerate and attentive towards me during our date, and I could see myself wanting to go on another date in the near future. He certainly had boyfriend potential, but I still needed to work up the nerve to make it lead towards that direction. Because you know what kind of games I play. He seemed far too hesitant to do it himself, but it would have been nice to see him put more effort into it as well. Ah, well, just knowing Ren wanted to spend the entire day with me is enough. Rolling onto my side, I hug the plushie closer so I can be surrounded by his comforting scent, and slowly drift off to sleep. End of day 2. Yes, save progress. Okay, hold on. Where is everybody? Okay, so he's off on an island somewhere. He's in the ocean? She's at her shop, I believe. These two are at the library. He's at his apartment. I should be at his apartment too. Let's see. No episode. Don't talk to me right now. No violets are not blue. Lots to do today. Ren, what do you have to do today? And why is your heart, like, not full? Missing a wallet? That's the same. Maple found the treats again. Why is the hospital so busy? I'm too cute to reject the Lulu. Yeah, girl, you are Delulu. Get out of here. Yeah, I don't know. So this, like, I can see where people are, but he didn't do anything to make Ren mad. Like, this guy did, who hasn't updated, and she did, but I don't know. The unusual sounds of city life and traffic pull me away from my slumber, and I wake to the sight of an unfamiliar ceiling. This wasn't my bedroom, and this certainly wasn't my bed. Last I checked, my duvets were a patterned purple, a housewarming gift from Violet when I first moved into my apartment, not this dark shade of black. Confused, I rubbed the sleep from my eyes in order to fully take in the rest of the room, and just like that, memories from yesterday come flooding back. Oh, right! Ren offered to let me stay the night due to the freak storm that swept over Corlin Bay. It was sweet of him to do, and it had me wondering where he was right now. Was he still fast asleep, or perhaps he was already awake? Deciding there's no time like the present to find out, I stretch out the knots in my body, wake myself up fully, and jump out of bed. As soon as I walk out into the hallway, the mouth-watering scent of something sweet and sugary greets me, and it almost has my feet floating towards the kitchen. Curiosity, or perhaps hunger, takes over my body, and before I know it, I find myself navigating through the maze of Ren's stupidly large apartment. Speaking of the devil... Get it? There, Ren stands in his kitchen, hunched over the stove with a spatula in one hand and what looks to be a recipe pulled up on his phone in the other. He doesn't seem to notice my presence yet, so I take the opportunity to study him a little bit more. And although I could only see most of his backside and side profile, I could easily make out the concentrated look on his face as his gaze flits back and forth between his phone and the pan. But just when I think he's about to turn around, Ren lets out a surprised noise and immediately lifts the pan from the stove. Jeez! Sniffing the air, the smell of something burning invades my nostrils and has me retreating back into the living space for some fresh air. Wow, did Ren really manage to burn a pancake? Maybe he just wasn't that confident in cooking? Regardless, seeing him put so much effort into something so trivial did manage to pull at my heartstrings. Deciding I've had my fill of watching Ren, I finally make myself known. Yes! I was so hoping this was going to be an option! Yes! Quietly tiptoeing behind the taller man, I wait for the perfect opportunity to strike before wrapping my arms around his waist and resting my head on his broad backside. Angel? I didn't hear you. Despite his flustered outburst, Ren doesn't seem to move from my hold. In fact, he almost seems to melt and lean into my touch instead. Almost as if to confirm my thoughts, I feel him wrap one of his arms around my waist to pull me in for a brief hug. Good morning, Angel. I was gonna surprise you with breakfast in bed. Sorry, did I take too long? It was like I flicked an invisible switch, because all of a sudden, Ren was back to the usual timid personality that I'd grown to know. Aw, you don't have to go through all that trouble for me. It's fine. I wanted to. Really. Here. Without giving me a second to spare, Ren conjures up a plate full of thick, fluffy pancake from somewhere behind him, alongside a few toppings as well. I didn't manage to burn these ones at least. Eat as much as you'd like. I'll have this one. He gestures to the burnt pancake still stuck to the frying pan. No amounting of washing and scrubbing would restore that pan to its former glory. Giving Ren a pitiful look, I deposit a few fluffy pancakes onto my own plate before offering the rest to him as well. Ren, you've made enough to feed an army. Why don't we share? It's okay. I made them all for you, exactly how you like them. Oh, and how do you know how I like my pancakes? Deciding to tease him a little, I throw the lighthearted accusation into the air and hope that he'll catch it. Huh? Oh, I don't. I suppose... Don't people normally enjoy pancakes this way? I thought maybe... There he goes again, getting flustered beyond belief while his cheeks flush a deep shade of red. Really was adorable. Relax, I'm only teasing you. These pancakes are delicious, by the way. Oh, you were just joking. His mood immediately seems to perk up once he hears my compliment. You like them? Really? You're not lying? Then I'll make them for you again sometime. Only if you want, that is. It's no problem at all. I really don't mind. How about you just focus on eating first? Aren't you hungry? I snacked on a few pancakes while cooking them. Don't worry about me. You just eat. Do you want some different toppings? I've got more strawberries in the fridge. Something inside me told me that Ren was lying, but I didn't feel like calling him out on it. I'm good for now, but thank you, really. Seemingly satisfied with my response, or lack thereof, Ren lets out a pleased hum and instead moves away to busy himself with washing the dishes. My gaze follows him, and I absent-mindedly catch a glimpse at the clock on one of the shelves. 8 o'clock on the dot. Wait a second, 8 o'clock! I was going to be late for work! As if picking up on my panic behavior, Ren halts his movements and sends me a curious glance. Crap, I'm going to be late for work again if I don't leave now. I still need to walk home and get changed and... Hey, it's okay, Angel. Calm down. Look, your clothes from yesterday are washed and dry. Why don't you change into them when you're ready? I can drop you off at work. Ren... There I go again, relying on this enigma of a man, taking up too much of his kind hospitality. I was already overstaying my welcome by using his dryer and sleeping in his spare bed, but now here I was, eating his food and being exactly 5 minutes away from getting a lift in his car. He really should be the one being called Angel instead of me. Thank you so much. I owe you my entire life. And I thought I was dramatic. Another date will do just fine. His soft smile is the last thing I see before I head back into the guest bedroom to change. But before I can make it 3 feet away, Ren's voice calls out to me once more. Oh, but I should warn you, I don't exactly drive a car. Is this man got a motorcycle? Tell me it's a motorcycle. Turns out, Ren didn't actually own a car like I expected. He owned a dang sports motorcycle. Hell yeah. All black, sleek, and scary. But what surprised me the most were the faded Always With You sticker decals that adorned the tank. So Ren was a fan of that webcomic as well? I always assumed the community was rather small. There wasn't much talk about the webcomic online, so it was nice to know someone else enjoyed it as much as I did. But just as I was about to bring the topic up, my vision goes dark as Ren places a helmet over my head with a smile. He fastens and adjusts the strap before motioning towards the back of his bike with an expectant look. Admittedly, I was a bit hesitant to hop on that thing, but Ren assured me that he'd tell me what to do and keep me safe the entire time. Daunting, couldn't even begin to describe how I felt when the engine turned on, and I was certain Ren had scratch marks with how tightly I was clinging to him, but I somehow came out of it unscathed. I even managed to bag myself a nice warm hoodie that smelled like Ren, even if its only purpose was to protect me from the wind and flying debris. Hey! Hey yo! And when we parted in front of the library with a friendly goodbye, Ren waited until I was inside the building before taking off. But I barely make it 3 feet inside before a mess of blonde hair enters my field of view and almost knocks me over. Is it Eleanor? Hey, you're not dead! Angel, there you are. Quick, I need your help. Eleanor's anxious demeanor catches me off guard, and I immediately do a sweep of the library for anything out of place. But I'm hardly given to any time to take in my surroundings before Eleanor reaches for my arm and all but drags me behind the reception counter and towards a mountain of paperwork. Stacks upon stacks of books, files, newspapers, and manila folders cover the entire expanse of their desk, and for the briefest moment, it almost resembled a messy archive repository rather than her workstation. That reminds me, I know. What's all this? This was supposed to be sorted out yesterday. I swear I did it already. In fact, I know I did. I remember leaving it all in Conan's office before I left work yesterday, so you can imagine my surprise when I saw it back on my desk this morning. Eleanor seems genuinely concerned, especially with how she's flitting about and pacing back and forth in front of me. It was almost like she'd seen a ghost, and if I didn't know any better, I honestly would have believed it. Please help me. If Conan finds out I somehow messed up again, I don't know what will happen. Hey, don't worry, Elle, I'll help. And I doubt Conan will get mad. You know how he is. I suppose you're right. Her shoulders seem to visibly relax at my words, and she slumps into her chair with a heavy sigh. Thank you so much, Angel. Do you think you can manage the stack of books? I'll handle all the files. Without missing a beat, lest our boss magically appear somewhere behind us, we immediately get to work. Alright, where is everybody? So she's still at her shop, he's still on the island, he's still out in the middle of nowhere. Ren's back at his place. This guy hasn't updated his status. Maybe he did. I don't know. Time flies by quickly when I have my chatty coworker to keep me company. She fills me in on how the freak storm caught everyone off guard and how some of the patrons shared the same idea of seeking refuge within the library as well. Apparently, Eleanor was the only one around to keep an eye on things, and from the sounds of it, she seemed to take on the leadership role like a pro. Still, discussing her whereabouts had me thinking. That reminds me, where did you go the other day? The other day? What do you mean? You remember Ren, the pink-haired guy? Oh, Loverboy. Yeah, him. After we had the conversation with Ren, I never saw you afterwards. Oh. Let me think. I watch as she inclines her head to the side to think, and all too quickly she snaps her fingers and gives me an affirmative nod. Oh, that's right. Well, this is a bit embarrassing, but I ended up going home early. I must have accidentally bumped into something while cleaning the stockroom the other day, and before I knew it, one of the shelves came tumbling down on me. It wasn't until a little while later Conan found me and pulled me out. You knocked over an entire shelf? Miss Creston. Knowing I was only teasing, Eleanor sends me a sheepish smile and bows her head to hide her reddening cheeks. But for now that I think about it, the shelves in the stockroom had always seemed relatively stable to me. My coworker wasn't known for her strength, so it didn't make much sense for it to topple over that easily. But thankfully, Eleanor elaborates more, almost as if she could hear the gears in my head working overtime. Well, I suppose it was a bit odd. I mean, I've worked in this library for more than 5 years now, and not once have I heard so much as a creak from those shelves. Does seem strange, yeah. Well, I have no doubt Conan will be installing new storage shelves soon. Oh, speaking of, did you notice the new awnings outside the library? I suppose that sudden storm from yesterday had something to do with it. In fact... Oh, maybe you heard it on the news already? I heard that all the rain... Our conversation gets cut short as I watch Eleanor's attention drift behind me and towards the flashing red light above one of the shelves. Duty calls, I guess. As soon as she stands, I shoot her an appreciative smile, which she returns with an apologetic one of her own, and meanders her way towards the aisle. Now left to my own devices, I go back to sorting through the books and putting them into separate piles. I manage to get a solid 10 minutes to myself before the sudden sense of unease creeps up on me. It felt as though someone was watching me, so I take a curious sweep across the vicinity to try and locate the source. But nothing seemed out of the ordinary. People were studying, others were quietly typing away at computers, and I could even spot the back of Eleanor's head from her spot near the fantasy fictions aisle. Nothing was out of place, yet that unnerving feeling of having eyes on the back of my head still lingered. In fact, now that I thought about it, it was eerily similar to the feeling I got when I was walking home a few days ago. Violet's words about someone breaking into my apartment echo in my mind before it all suddenly dawns upon me. The supposed person watching me? Could it somehow be linked? No, definitely not. Shaking my head, I try to dismiss those unsettling thoughts before they start to develop into something more sinister. There was no one watching me. After all, there was hardly anything impressive about me to warrant a stalker in the first place. I was as plain as they come, and if some loser really did break into my house, they left empty-handed. That alone clearly proved that I don't own anything worth stealing, except maybe my limited edition Attack on Giant figurines. But even then, I remember thoroughly inspecting my entire apartment once I got home. Nothing was out of place, nor looked like it had been touched. Everything was as I left it that morning. Yet it still didn't explain why I was feeling this way. Fear and apprehension seemed to overwhelm my senses so much that my mind barely registers the sound of something rustling, and I looked down to see what I had been worrying the papers in my hands for the past few minutes. Not Attack on Giant, yeah. Have I been stressing out that badly? Jeez, I really was letting all this paranoia get the best of me. Shaking my head once more, I decide it's best not to let those thoughts fester and grow into something far bigger than it should be. No one broke into my apartment, and no one was watching me right now. I was making a mountain out of a molehill, and nothing was going to scare me. Hello? Ah! Whoa! Instead of some creepy stalker dressed all in black, I was met with blonde hair and expensive-looking clothing. Was this the person I felt watching me? It was difficult to make out her words over the loud, rapid sounds of my heartbeat, so I tried my best to calm down before responding. Sorry, I didn't notice you come in. Welcome to the Cortland Bay Library. Can I help you with anything? I hope I sounded professional enough, though I'm sure there was still a lingering sense of fear in my words and a facial expression to match. But it starts to dissipate as I take in the woman's appearance. Va-va-voom is her appearance, dang. Her green eyes seem oddly familiar to me, but what gives it all away is how the woman slightly inclines her head to the side as she looks over me with concern. Surely not. Was that? I don't suppose... Are you Kiara? Eleanor's told me all about you. In the flesh. I'm actually here to visit my darling sister, would you believe? But now you've piqued my interest. She shoots me a harmless wink and rests her hands atop the reception counter. Wow, even the clanging of her jewelry sounds expensive, and I can't help but look at her in awe. Tell me, what else has Nori said about me? She admires you? Oh, really? When did she say that? It would have been nice to hear it coming from her. Ah, well, I'm sure you're well aware how shy little Nori can be sometimes. Angel! As if summoning Eleanor herself, she emerges from somewhere behind me and joins us at the front desk. Kiara, what are you doing here? There she is! What, am I not allowed to see my little sis? I'm at work right now. You could have texted me in advance. But I wanted to surprise you. And look, I come bearing gifts. At that, Kiara places down a few bags branded with high-end prints and designer logos. Sorry, darling. If I knew I'd be meeting you here, I would have brought extra. But I'm sure there's something for you in one of those bags as well. Pick whatever Eleanor doesn't want. I genuinely wished I could be rich enough to say something like that. The sisters seem fully engrossed in each other's presence, so I leave them alone so that they can have their moment to catch up. After all, I didn't know how long it had been since Eleanor and Kiara had seen each other, and the mountain of work in front of me wasn't going to sort itself out in the meantime. But before I can silently slip away and sit back down, a tattooed arm boxes me in and commands my attention. And for the second time today, the expensive smell of wealth and luxury floods my senses. Only this time, I knew the person it belonged to. Oh good, it's Tio. Dang, who are they? Seemingly out of nowhere, Tio appears with that familiar smirk on his face and an unbothered drawl in his tone. He's absolutely shameless with how his eyes take in both of the sisters' appearances, before he's leaning more of his weight onto his arm and shooting me an expectant look. Don't even think about it, Tio. Trust me, you don't want to know what I'm thinking about right now. Given how he leans even closer to my side with a sultry grin, I end up believing his words. After all, I wouldn't put it past Tio to think up multiple ways to cause a scene in his free time. Not jealous, are you? Why would you even... Whether or not it was my sudden outburst that captures their attention, Eleanor and Kiara finally seem to notice us, and I thank my lucky stars for a chance to escape this conversation. Perhaps I could sneak off to the employees' lounge while everyone was busy talking. I'm sure... You work here too? I've got a few things here that you could check out. Ugh. Despite my disgust at Tio's blatant flirting, Eleanor seems to be eating it up with a slight blush on her cheeks. Oh, actually, I'm just visiting. I don't work here, but little Nori over here does. I'm sure she can help you out. Despite her friendly tone, Kiara seems to be passively shutting down Tio's attempts at flirting and redirecting it towards Eleanor instead. Yet Tio doesn't seem to be picking up on it, instead choosing to lean a little more against the counter so that his muscles flex under his form-fitted shirt and crosses his ankles. You're not from around here, are you? I'd remember a face like yours. The name's Theodore, by the way, but cuties like you can call me Tio. Charming, I'm Kiara. And no, I'm only in town for a few weeks. I'm visiting some relatives and finding some inspiration before I head back home. Inspiration, huh? I could show you around. Well, aren't you fun? What about my baby sister? Huh? But I'm older than you. Come on, live a little, Nori. You always tell me how you're holed up at work all the time. I suppose, but... Looks like you're in need of a bit of fun. I can help with that. Have either of you been to the aquarium yet? It opened recently. Not yet, but I'll have to give your offer a pass, I'm afraid. Aquarium's not your style. You're not my style. Ouch. Despite the low blow to his ego, Tio didn't look the least bit offended. In fact, he seems to thrive off of it. Yes, fucking Tio. But as if fate felt the urge to intervene, Kiara's phone suddenly goes off and startles everyone. Sorry, give me a sec, I need to take this call. She slips away before any of us can have the chance to respond, and without missing a beat, Tio immediately takes her previous spot besides Eleanor. And what about you? Me? Don't see anyone else around, princess. Princess. Oh, well, I mean, I think it'd be fun, but I suppose it would be a bit awkward if it's just you and me. You heard her, doll. As if finally acknowledging my presence, Tio turns to me with an expectant look on his face. Why don't you tag along? I'll even see if Leon wants to join the fun. It'll be like a double date. At that, Eleanor visibly seems to relax a bit. I spare a quick glance in her direction, and I can pick up on the barest hint of hope in her eyes. Wait, she wanted to go on a date with Tio? I don't know, Elle. Oh, what? Got better things to do. Look, I'll pay for everything. I can even pick you up as well if you want. Sound good? Not that I'd ever openly admit it to Tio, but his offer was finally starting to sound tempting. I mean, free food and a free outing? It was too good to refuse. However... Fine, but I'm doing this for Eleanor. Eleanor seems to brighten at that, and her smile just about makes it all worth it. Atta girl, I knew you weren't going to chicken out on us. Then it's settled. Leon and I will meet you both here tomorrow after work. What time did you finish? Around... There you are, Angel. I didn't realize you were busy. Finally, it was as if someone had heard my prayers this time. Conan emerges from somewhere behind me. What was up with that today? And offers me an escape from the current conversation. Without missing a beat, I turn towards my savior and spare him a thankful glance. I make sure to silently apologize to Eleanor as well, clearly uneasy with the thought of leaving her alone with Tio, but she seems all too happy with how she suddenly shoos me away with a hand behind her back. Sure, I can slip away for a moment. Did you need something? Just needed a pair of extra hands to sort through some boxes. But if you're busy, I'll manage by myself. It's fine. I could use a breather. Okay, so perhaps I didn't need to announce that so joyfully. With warm cheeks, I turned back towards Eleanor and Tio to send them one final apologetic look before following after Conan. Fuck Tio, man. Apologies for this. I didn't mean to steal you from your friends. This happened to be sorting through all the books a coworker managed to knock over this morning, and making sure they were all in the correct category before putting them back onto the cart. It felt eerily similar to what I had been previously doing with Eleanor, only this time there weren't any Tio-shaped annoyances to keep me company. But man, I swear, Conan had to be the only boss who'd be perfectly fine with their employees slacking off to talk with their friends instead. He hadn't said a word about Tio, and possibly Kiara too, depending on how long he'd been standing behind me, and seemed more than okay with us huddling around the reception desk. Deciding not to push my luck, I returned Conan's soft look with one of my own. It's fine, don't worry about it. I've been meaning to ask you something, actually. Has everything been going on all right with you? Nothing shady has been happening lately. What do you mean? You haven't heard the news? There's been a few murders happening in the Bay Area recently. Admittedly, I've been worried for your safety as of late. You live by yourself, correct? Yeah, but my neighbor checks in with me almost regularly. Now that I think about it, she's also been concerned for my safety. That's good, I'm glad. Listen, if something ever happens... Conan awkwardly glances over his shoulder before returning his gaze back to me. Nothing but sincerity stares back, and I find myself in a stunned silence. Here, it's my personal number. But due to the lack of clarification, I ended up sending him a confused look instead of thanking him. I know you've only recently moved back to Corlin Bay, but you've yet to put someone down as your emergency contact. I'm worried you won't have anyone to call in case something does happen. I want to make sure you're safe at all times. Oh, thank you, Conan. Of course. He gives my shoulder a gentle pat before resuming his original task. The conversation falls back into an easy, comfortable silence, and I pocket his number before pouring all of my focus towards the books laid out in front of me. The rest of my shift passes by uneventfully, and at some point, Eleanor informs me that Kiara had to leave for a work-related matter and wouldn't be coming back for a few days. She'd even asked Eleanor to give me her number as well, alongside mentioning something about sharing more embarrassing stories about little Nori the next time we talk, whatever that meant. Still, it was really nice to finally meet Eleanor's sister, and it was even kinder of her to give me a fountain pen before she left. Or, at least I assumed it was Kiara. I found the expensive-looking box sitting on my desk once I returned, and I wasted no time in opening it up and examining the contents. The pen itself appeared to be made from extremely high-quality materials, and the cursive A+R logo looked rather fancy underneath the light. I made a mental note to get something for Kiara as well, before pocketing the pen next to Conan's number and packing up my belongings for the day. But as I'm slipping out the library's back door, I notice a familiar broad backside, patch of blonde hair, and a bright red Hawaiian shirt standing near the alleyway's entrance. It's Leon! Hiccup. As if sensing my presence, Leon turns around and greets me with one of his familiar warm smiles. G'day, Darl. Been a while. He sends me a toothy grin before making space for me within the group. Eleanor greets me with a delicate wave, and Tio looks moderately annoyed as usual. All right, where's everybody at? So he's not quite in his apartment, but he's nearby. Oh, he's out of the ocean at least. That's good. Why is the checkout girl near my apartment? Tio was just introducing me to Eleanor and yarning on about this little outing he has planned. Hey, how come you never told me you've never been to the aquarium before? Makes sense, though. I reckon it was built a bit after you left the bay, right? So I doubt you had time to check it out. Pretty much. Most of my free time has been taken up with moving and unpacking boxes. I couldn't help but find myself agreeing with his words. It was crazy how Leon seemed to know me so well, even though we hadn't had the chance to speak to each other like this in a while. But I'm curious to see what it's like. What about you, Nori? I couldn't help but like Kiara's nickname for her slip. Oh, yes, I'm the same. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I've never been to an aquarium before, so this should be fun. Well, here's hoping the weather will be more lenient tomorrow. It was pouring down buckets, yeah.
And you just go right over the edge. Whoopee. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Is that your premonition for what's going to happen to one of these characters? Guess you get pushed into the shark tank or something. Did you make it home all right, Sunfish? All of a sudden, that eerie feeling comes back, and I resist the urge to turn around and look behind me. I only now notice that I've had my back to the dark alley this entire time. Angel? Sorry, what was that? You all right? You look like you've seen a ghost. I watch as Leon looks behind me before glancing at Tio and Eleanor for what seems like reassurance. No, it's nothing. I guess I've had a long day at work. Nah, I get it. Feeling tired? You should head on home then. Please, don't let us keep you longer than we should. Want me to drop you off? Car's out front. As much as I appreciated everyone's concerns, I honestly wanted to be left alone right now to clear my head. Going on a walk would surely do me wonders. Besides, it was still somewhat bright out, and there were people around, so I had no reason to worry about my non-existent stalker. I also heard that some new merchandise arrived at the local manga store, which I had been meaning to check out, so that would surely help to get my mind off things. It was along my route home anyway. What harm could possibly come out of a quick detour? At that thought, I quickly placate everyone's concerns before bidding my goodbyes and heading off alone down the street. It wasn't until I got far enough away from the library that the eerie feeling started to dissipate. The library is haunted. The nostalgic smell of comic books and plastic greets me as I enter the all-too-familiar manga store, and I immediately beeline my way towards the anime aisle. I was set on collecting the last remaining accessories for my mini Attack on Giants display, and I wasn't about to let my paranoia get in the way of that. But as I was passing through a few of the aisles, I noticed a familiar shade of pink near the cashier. Is that Ren? See, look it, he's got tattoos. You can't tell me he doesn't have tattoos. I didn't even notice his motorbike out front, if he even brought it. Up until now, I always assumed he walked everywhere. And even though he was wearing a mask and had his hair tied back, I could easily make out his large and lanky frame anywhere. Sneaking closer. Oh, he's got a Haruko shirt on. I notice how he appears to be in a hushed conversation with the manager about something confidential, if their closeness was anything to go by, before he places a thick manila envelope into her hands and leans back. Oh, I wonder what's inside. Was Ren trading in some old manga? Ooh, what if it's Attack on Giants? Though, if it is Attack on Giants, then I'm not really sure why he'd want to trade them in. With how popular the franchise is currently, there isn't much of a high demand. If anything, there's too much consumable media being produced right now. Everywhere I go, all I see is Haruko. I wouldn't have it any other way. And speaking of my beloved Haruko, now that I get a better look at Ren, isn't that the limited edition spring Haruko hoodie? I thought they weren't selling them anymore. But just as I'm about to make myself known to ask questions, Ren is already turning on his heel and slipping behind the large racks filled with cosplays and gaming-themed apparel. Mika Mika Beam! Oh, because the pink. His height does him no favors, though, as I watch his head peek out from the top while he bobs and weaves his way towards the side entrance. At that very moment, my phone decides to jump scare me by suddenly going off, and it startles me enough to temporarily forget about Ren. Letting out a string of curses, I reach into my back pocket and pull it out, only to see Moth's name flash on the screen. With a grin, I accept the video call and hold the phone up to my face. Hey, listen, now's not really a good time to talk, but... Oh no, that's terrible. Get well soon, or sorry for your loss, or whatever. Anyway, listen. Guess who won an all-paid holiday trip overseas? Me, that's who. It'd been a while since I'd last seen Moth's face, but they appeared just as boisterous as I remember them. And for free, too! I mean, okay, yeah, I still need to pay for food and stuff, but... Hey, where are you? I'm in a manga store? Hold on, can we backtrack for a second? You got free tickets? To where? Is that a Haruko figurine? Can you get it for me? Please? Please, 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 please. Moth. I'll pay you back, promise. I'll pay for shipping too. It's so cute. Look at his widow outfit. Look at his tiny little jacket and tiny little shoes. With an eye roll, I reach behind me for the figurine, but not before picking up the accessories I originally came in here for, and slowly make my way towards the cash register. Once Moth hoots and hollers calm down, I gently try to coach them back to the original topic. Oh, right, you asked where I'm going. Well, it's actually a surprise. Seriously. A good surprise, though. Hey, you're still in Korla... For a brief moment, their screen starts to lag, and a loading symbol pops up. Moth? Because I'll be... in almost... That's okay with you... Their voice cuts in and out, giving an almost robotic effect before the screen eventually fades to black. With a heavy sigh, I end the call and shoot Moth a text to let them know that they got disconnected, yet again. But as I absent-mindedly look out the window, I notice the blurry outline of Ren's figure sitting on a bench outside, busying himself with what looked like a phone in his hands. Next! The cashier's voice pulls me away from my thoughts, and I quickly pay for my purchases, all while sparing not-so-secretive glances at Ren from beyond the shop window to make sure that he's still there. It was strange, but I couldn't help but hope I'd get the chance to catch up with him on my way out. I know it had probably been more than a day since I last saw him, but I still wanted to thank him for the date he took me on yesterday. The cashier pulls my attention away by handing me a bag and receipt, and I give them my thanks before making a beeline towards the exit. But just as the door swings open, I notice that Ren had already left. He was no longer on the bench where I last saw him, and I couldn't spot him on either end of the street. It was like he was never there in the first place, and I almost find myself wondering if I had imagined the whole thing. I was starting to see him everywhere anyway, and it was beginning to come across as creepy. But Corlin Bay isn't that big of a coastal town in retrospect, so I'm sure we were bound to run into each other again sooner or later. I mean, I literally met Ren at my own workplace because we shared a few common interests in books. His just so happened to be about native flora. That kind of stuff wasn't something either of us could control, and I was most likely looking too deep into it. Still, it felt strange all the same. Oh well, there was no use dwelling over it. I still had Ren's number saved in my contacts anyway, so I could always shoot him a text, or even a call if I really started to miss him. It was beginning to get dark once I arrived back in my apartment complex, so I quickly usher my way up the staircase and onto my floor. But as I'm making the long trek up the stairs, I bump into someone lingering around the corner and almost end up tumbling down. Whoa! Hey, watch it! Glancing up, I notice that it's the cashier from yesterday who was glaring daggers at me while I try to steady myself with the railing. That was Olivia, wasn't it? She makes no effort to help me, though she does move to the side in order to give me space at the top of the stairs. It's then when I take notice of the giant basket of laundry in her arms, and it makes me wonder if she was actually going to carry it all the way to the laundromat by herself. Clearly, she was stronger than she looked. Sorry, I didn't mean to... Olivia cuts herself off once the severity of the situation finally sinks in, before she sucks in her cheek and lets out an exasperated chuckle. Seriously? What could she possibly find so funny about this situation? Of all places... Jesus! She looks better with the goat head. She's still alive, though, so that's good. Of all places, a staircase? Really? Your boyfriend sure has messed up sense of humor. What? No, it's nothing. Look, I didn't mean to knock you down the staircase like that. I've got a lot on my mind lately, and I wasn't looking where I was going. Hey, it happens. It most certainly didn't. But Olivia seemed to be having a rough day, so I wasn't going to make things worse by being rude to her. She already looked on edge for some reason, especially with how she kept sneaking glances over both of our shoulders. It was almost like she was looking for something, and I would have asked her about it if she didn't beat me to it. So, where's that boyfriend of yours anyway? Not lurking around the corner like a creepy psychopath, is he? Who? Seriously? Your boyfriend? The guy you visited the souvenir shop with the other day? Oh, Ren. He's not my boyfriend. We're just... He's just a guy that I'm interested in. You're interested in someone like him? I feel sorry for you. Excuse me? Nothing. Just the ramblings of a stressed-out university student. Anyway, I'm in a rush, so please move. Clearly done with the conversation, Olivia sidesteps me and starts to make her way down the stairwell, but she only manages to get a few feet away before she turns around once more. Resting her laundry basket on a hip, she looks up at me with an unreadable look. You live on this floor as well? Then it looks like we're going to be seeing each other more often. But just some neighborly advice, if you plan on bringing Ren around, keep it down. I'm not afraid to file a noise complaint. Damn. And with that, she disappears around the corner. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he threatened to throw her down the stairs. What was that all about? Deciding it wasn't worth my time to mull it over, I slowly make my way towards my apartment. Not bothering to turn on the light, I toss my keys into the tray, shrug off my jacket, and unceremoniously drop myself onto the couch. Today had been a whirlwind of events and emotions, and the worst part was that it still hadn't ended yet. I still had an hour or so left before I consider any dinner plans, so I figured I might as well spend the evening winding down in the meantime. All too quickly, an idea pops into my head, and I reach over to grab my phone. Cat explodes. Oh my goodness. Not Gibby! I'm Gibby. I'm still Gibby. Ooh, let's invite Ren over. Figured it'd be best to catch up with someone instead of...
He didn't fall? Inconceivable.
Inconceivable! Dude, I haven't watched that movie in so long. I should rewatch that movie at some point. I just don't know when. Inconceivable! I'll pull up my contacts list and idly scroll through it. Ugh. Wednesday night movie night. Weren't you guys? You guys already had your movie picked out though. I don't remember what it was, but I remember looking at it. I remember reading what it was, but I don't remember what it was. Ah, Ace Ventura. Just saying. No, you're just oh wait, no wait, you are saying. I forgot about that. Conan's number immediately captures my attention. Being the newest addition to my contacts and sitting near the top of the list, before my curiosity begins to stray once more. Without so much as hesitating, I tap on that person's number and bring the phone closer to my ear. I'm inviting I'm inviting Conan over, my boss, Super Kayan. Eleanor, Violet, Moth. Moth doesn't live near me, so there's no sense in calling Moth, so let's just go ahead and call Ren. Odd, I don't remember scrolling all the way down to view his contact details. Nevertheless, I find myself tapping on Ren's name and bringing the phone closer to my ear. He picks up almost immediately, and I can practically feel the excitement and mauve flowers expel from the screen, and he hit me in the face. Moth's like light. Yeah, Moth's my friend, but they don't live near me. Actually, where is Moth on the map? Moth is like all the way over here. Ren's at their apartment. She lives in the same apartment as me. Yeah. And before I know it, Ren is agreeing to come over as soon as he can, so I quickly turn the lights back on, clean up the place a bit, and anticipate his arrival. Barely 10 minutes pass before I hear a loud knocking at my front door. Why did it suddenly brighten up? Almost immediately, I leap to my feet and unlock it with a smile. Ren, hey, come on in. I see you're still wearing my hoodie. I also brought some takeout with me, if that's okay. I would totally go for some Chinese food right now. I'm so hungry. I figured you hadn't had a chance to eat yet. Whoa, how'd you know? It's like you can read minds or something. Barely registering the look on his face, I gently coax Ren into my living room. Dude, same. I've had coffee. Does that count as food? I haven't even had water. I just realized all I've had is coffee. He makes himself at home on my couch, and I bring a few utensils from my kitchen for the food he so kindly bought. Oh, by the way, were you at the manga store earlier today? Coffee and a water. Water is good. Dang, I'm sure hungry. Yeah, but I want Chinese food, and I don't have Chinese food. The closest thing I have is a ramen packet. I thought I saw you there. Yeah, I know you did. I mean, because I saw you as well. After I left, I noticed you through the window. Well, that seemed to confirm my thoughts about Ren sitting outside the store. Stabbing my fork into the food, I take a bite and let out a pleased hum from all the delicious flavors dancing on my tongue. I don't know how to set that up. Also, I saw a thing where it's like you could set up where your like watchers could send you like food through like DoorDash and stuff, but my town is too little. There's like nothing here. So that wouldn't really work. Really? You should have said hi. I thought about it, but you seemed really focused on something. And then you got a call, so Ah, yeah, that was my friend Moth. Oh, that reminds me, Ren. At that, his full attention is immediately on me. Takeout long forgotten as the taller male moves in his seat to face me. You like Attack on Giants too, don't you? I mean, your hair and outfit, it was inspired by Haruko, right? I know I must have been coming on a bit strong, but Ren and I have been getting to know each other a bit better over these past few days, and somehow I knew he wouldn't freak out as much if I knew about my more nerdy side. No, I'm not saying a word. There's no such thing as Chinese food. Also, actually there really is no Chinese food in my town. It's like a far enough drive out that I'm not making that drive today. Plus, I'm making sloppy joes for dinner tonight. Hey, sloppy joes. Sparing a glance at Ren, he seems to be handling it well enough, if the interested yet curious look on his face was anything to go by. In fact, Ren seems almost on the edge of his seat with how intently he's staring at me. He must really be interested in Haruko as well to garner this sort of reaction. Dude. I haven't either. I'm excited. Okay, ultimate question though. Do you put cheese on your sloppy joe? You've ruined it. Ruined it. Absolutely disturbed. How dare you? How could you? I thought we were friends. How could you? You don't put cheese on a sloppy joe. Sloppy joes are meant to be just as they are. You don't put cheese. Ruin it. Ruined. It's funny that we get along because it's true. We have very different tastes, yet somehow we still manage to be buddies. In some way, it was comforting to know we shared a few more similar interests. I mean, that is true. Yeah, we do share more interests than, like, than things that we argue. It's true. You wouldn't want to all be the same person. Haruko is actually one of my favorite characters at the moment. He's been for a while now, actually. Oh, but that's not the point. The point is, Moth loves Haruko too. I could introduce you guys. They're a diehard fan of the anime, and I'm sure they... Oh, Moth is the one who's interested? Almost shyly, he turns his head away and meekly scratches at his jaw. I don't mind, but I wasn't expecting Ren to be so hesitant, and I suddenly felt bad for springing this all onto him without considering how he might feel as well. Hey, no need to force yourself. If you don't want to, that's okay. I just thought it'd be nice to let them have someone else to talk to, you know? Moth has trouble making friends, and most of the time they're only talking to me. Yeah, that's too bad. He sends me a sad look, coupled with a frown, before returning to the plate of food before him. Although I was thinking about Moth, I really didn't want to force Ren into befriending somebody if he didn't want to. Besides, maybe he has trouble forming friendships too? It was a little difficult trying to keep up with his sudden personality shifts, but at this point in our friendship, I was starting to get used to it. Deciding to lift the mood a little, I tried to change the subject to something more lighthearted. So, apparently this place has rats. Really, Angel? That was the first thing you could think of. How was that any less awkward than what we were currently... Actually, I didn't want to say anything, but I think I saw one on my way up here. It probably made itself a home in that busted elevator shaft. Seriously? Wait, do you think you could come with me and explain it to my landlord? I swear your landlord isn't doing anything about it? No! I collapse onto the sofa with a dramatic sigh. I honestly don't know what they're doing, if I'm being honest. I've sent so many complaints, but haven't received a reply for any of them. Really? Have you considered just moving? Quite a few times, actually, but... I'm not sure. Yeah, what? I've never heard any good talk about this apartment. I suppose this was the only place available at the time. Everything was a bit overwhelming at first, but I really wanted to come back to Corlin Bay. I figured this would only be a temporary thing, until I got my bearings. I see. Then it's not so bad here after all, right? I mean, as long as there's no creep trying to break in and steal all your laundry or something. You got a point there. I think I'd take the rats over a laundry-stealing intruder any day, but Now that I think about it, who would want to break in just to steal dirty clothes? Well, I'm sure Ren only meant it as a joke. It was oddly specific. Oh, I just figured that's what normal creep behavior would be. You have a great sense of fashion, and I see your TV is still here, so... Yeah, I guess it would be difficult to lug that down the staircase. They probably should have asked the rats for help. Pfft, again? With the rats? I couldn't help but let out a laugh at his corny inside joke. Wait, since when do we have our own inside jokes? Now that I really thought about it, the banter I shared with Ren seemed very easygoing as of late, despite how serious the topics were supposed to be. I had been worrying all day about this supposed stalker, yet here I was, casually brushing it off as a carefree joke. Still, is everything all right in your neighborhood? I've heard about the murders going on recently. Well, no one I know has gone missing, so I suppose that's good, right? I won't lie, though, it is kind of scary knowing that there's a killer out there. Yeah, I suppose so. But are you really okay with staying here alone? Doesn't that scare you? I'm sure I'll be fine. I've got my neighbor Violet, and if it's really necessary, I'm sure I could stay with Leon for a while, and say, you could always stay with me instead. I mean, you've already stayed the night at my place, so it wouldn't be a bother if you wanted to come over again. I'd honestly sleep better at night knowing you're safe. And I always carry a spare key card with me anyway. If you'd like, you can hold on to it in case something... I appreciate the offer, Ren, but I can't accept that. It's fine. Besides, you said yourself that living here can get overwhelming. If this can help you in any way... I don't know. Keep it, just in case. I mean, you never know. What if that creep breaks into your apartment again? If that happens, you'd be safer at my place. The lobby is full of security, and they won't let anyone upstairs without proper clearance. Please, not please. Plus, I don't have rats. I won't lie, Ren's offer honestly was tempting. The idea of having somewhere to go in case things got bad was a comforting thought. But something just didn't sit right with me. I know I've been spending a lot of time with Ren recently, but I still wasn't that familiar with him. And sure, I might have developed a bit of a crush on the tall guy, but I wasn't going to be swayed by my feelings. Still, the offer really was tempting, and it wasn't like he was asking me to move in with him or anything. Now that I thought about it, Ren was the one giving me access to his home. It wasn't like I was the one in danger here. He was trusting me enough not to be some kind of crazed killer, much like the one on the news. I can't help but crack a small smile at the somewhat morbid thought, and Ren seems to take it as a positive sign. But before I can dwell on it any further, I watch as he leans over to reach into his back pocket and pulls out something that resembled a plastic card. Ren wastes no time handing it to me, and I take a moment to look it over. His address and unit number are neatly printed at the top, and some kind of obscure barcode is on the bottom. However, the apartment name and logo in the top right corner are what really captures my attention. Sunshine Hills. I almost forgot he lived in the nicer parts of Corlin Bay. They were known for their high-rise apartments and fancy penthouses, so I'm sure Ren had never had to worry about rat infestations or deadbeat landlords. Though, the more I thought about it, the more willing I was to accept his offer. Maybe it wouldn't be such a bad idea after all? I couldn't help but wonder what kind of programmer could afford fancy marble flooring, but as always, Ren remained a mystery to me. If this opportunity meant getting to know him better, maybe it'd be worth it? Snapping out of my thoughts, I look up from the glossy plastic and focus my attention back to Ren. Seriously, though, it wouldn't hurt to keep it. And it's a spare keycard anyway. I can always get more. I already have a stack of them at home. They're real handy, too. I can use them to lock up my office and my bedroom without a physical key. But I always end up misplacing them and all, sorry, Angel. Am I rambling again? I don't want you to worry or anything, and you never know what might happen. I've seen what's been on the news lately, and I just want you to be safe. He wants me to be safe? Where have I heard that before? Well, I suppose so. Great. Then he glances back at the plastic item in my hand with an expectant look, almost as if he were waiting for me to put it away. And when I carefully shove it into my pocket, Ren seems to visibly relax and lean back into his chair once more. Then that settles it. Come by whenever you want. You don't even need to call. Thanks. I think I'll still call him in advance, or even shoot a text. As lovely as Ren's welcoming hospitality was, I wouldn't want to disrupt or intrude on anything. As if picking up on my sudden silence, he clears his throat, gestures towards the food on the table, and scoops up a giant forkful. Anyway, we should finish this before it gets cold. Oh, yeah, you're right. Deciding to ease the tension once more, I speak the first thing that comes to mind as I stab my fork into the container as well. Ooh, ooh. Romance tropes. He does. He just gave me a spare key. He had that spare key ready to go. You've got some crumbs on your face. Before I can stop myself, I reach out towards Ren's face and gently wipe away the crumbs from his cheek. My fingers brush against his bottom lip, and I can't help the slight tinge of pink that blooms on my cheeks. We are going full send crazy here. He's going to be crazy. We're going to be crazy right back at him, as much as the game will allow me. Up. Oh, okay. Ren seems to be spotting a similar look of his own before he awkwardly clears his throat and goes back to eating. Thank you. The casual banter continues throughout dinner, and soon enough, all the containers were empty and our stomachs were full. I dim the lights and switch the TV on at some point to fill the silence between our conversations, and soon enough, Ren and I find ourselves taking an interest in a movie that was currently playing. It was some unknown, sappy rom-com that came out almost a decade ago, yet Ren didn't seem to mind all that much. I wasn't following the plot too keenly, but from what I could gather, the male lead just confessed his love for the main character in the back of her truck. Top it all off, it started raining as some slow, melodic love song came on the radio. The two characters were all too happy to share a sweet kiss with each other in that romantic moment, but the tenderness soon gets cut short once the scene starts to travel down a more heated path. The kisses become more passionate, and before I know it, I'm watching the main character lean across the center console to sit in her lover's lap instead. Clearly, I wasn't expecting this to happen, what I falsely believed was a harmless rom-com, so I dare to glance in Ren's direction to gaze his reaction. Yet aside from the faint dusting of pink on his cheeks, the rest of him seems all too relaxed. There's an arm casually thrown over the back of the couch, while the rest of his body is slouched into the plushness of the seat. His lanky limbs are stretched out in front of him, while his thighs are spread out slightly, and the empty space between his legs was beginning to look inviting for some reason. Oh, girl! Was it because of the movie? Before I can stop myself, I find myself wandering. These were not the choices I thought I would have. Keep watching the movie. What was I thinking? This movie was clearly messing with my head. Suddenly, I slap my cheeks and focus my attention back on the TV screen. But every so often, my gaze flickers back to Ren to see if he was feeling just as awkward as I was throughout the scene, and it seems I was right. It's almost painful watching him awkwardly clear his throat if you wait, can I go back? I can. What does changing the channel do? Oh, so no matter what, it's the same thing. It's almost painful watching him awkwardly clear his throat a few times until his interest ultimately shifts towards my wall instead. I also feel the urge to look away once the couple start to get even more handsy with each other. When it starts to become too much to bear, I impulsively change the channel. A monotone voice droning on about the weather fills the silence, and I feel the couch move as Ren shifts in his seat. That was, no change in channel, slap them cheeks. Yeah. They were really going at it, huh? Mm-hmm. Geez, I can't believe it's somehow even more awkward now. But just as I'm about to do something about it, Ren awkwardly clears his throat and moves to stand up. It's getting a bit late now, isn't it? I should probably start heading home soon. Oh, are you sure? You can stay a bit longer. No, I really should go. Now that I think about it, you need to wake up early, don't you? Yeah, actually, but how did you know that? Oh, you seem like the early bird type. He doesn't seem to elaborate on that, and instead starts to pack up his belongings and head towards the hallway. Deciding that was that, I walked Ren towards the front door with a soft smile on my face. Today had been a lot of fun thanks to him, and I was able to keep my mind off the events that would ultimately transpire tomorrow. I was still unsure about Tio's intentions, but being with Ren helped me to understand that maybe it was wrong of me to judge others so quickly. At first, I thought Ren was just some shy guy with a stuttering problem, but over the course of a few days, I've learned there's more to him than just that. He had his moments of confidence, and it was endearing watching him stand up for the things that he wanted. Perhaps I was being a bit too harsh on Tio. Even he deserved a chance to redeem himself. No, he doesn't. I suppose I'll give him a chance to Angel? Sorry? Crap, I really need to stop spacing out like that. I asked if you wanted me to lock the door for you. It suddenly hit me like a ton of bricks. I was still standing in the hallway while Ren was already waiting for me at the door. So I quickly rush over to him with a flushed expression. Sorry, I was just busy thinking. I can lock it. Thanks, though. You do that a lot. It's cute. I almost roll my eyes at his words as I lean against the front door and watch Ren awkwardly shuffle on my doormat. Thanks for today, and sorry for taking up so much of your time. Not at all. Thanks for coming over. Get home safe, okay? Ren's eyes seemed to light up the moment I voiced my concern over him. Yeah, okay. I will. You too. Or, I mean, you're already at home, so go to bed safe, or sleep safe. Sleep well. What am I can't help but chuckle at his panic state, and Ren seems to settle once he hears my laughter. Good night, Ren. Good night, Angel. I'll see you tomorrow. The sound of the door shutting drowns out the ending of his sentence. Once I had nothing else left to do for the night, I get changed into some comfy pajamas and brush my teeth before settling into bed. The newest chapter for Always With You was going to drop in a few hours, and I figured I might as well stay up and read it before going to sleep. But my eyes were starting to get droopy, and all my mind could think about was the double date I had planned with Leon, Tio, and Eleanor tomorrow. Man, I sure hope everything will be fine. But I know worrying about it wasn't going to do me any favors, so I let my pent-up stress out on my pillow by smacking it to make it less lumpy. Though the moment I unceremoniously flopped back down, I noticed the cold draft and the fact that my bedroom window was left wide open. Strange, I don't remember opening it earlier. With a groan, I get up from my bed and go close it, but once I lock it shut, something moves from within the shadows and startles me. Squinting, I can barely make out the black mass moving through the gaps in the fire escape balcony. What was that? A person? It certainly wouldn't be strange for someone to take a cigarette break at this hour, but I couldn't smell any telltale signs of smoke. Maybe it was my landlord's cat out for a leisurely midnight stroll? That idea seemed more realistic in my mind. Yet, despite my futile attempts at calming myself down, I still somehow find the willpower to go back to bed rather than opening the window once more and taking another curious peek outside. I didn't have a death wish, nor did I have the stupidity of those cliché horror film characters. Ha ha ha! Yeah, right. I did not have the stupidity of those cliché horror film characters. Keep telling yourself that, girl. Keep telling yourself that. But before I turn away, I double-check to make sure that the window is locked shut and the blinds are fully closed. I wasn't about to risk it. Happy with the precautions put in place, I make a hasty dive towards the warmth and safety of my bed. Snuggled deep within my blankets, I find it harder and harder to think about someone breaking in, and even more so with keeping my eyes open. Before I knew it, pink-colored sheep slowly filled my mind as I drifted away. And that's where I have to end it for today. No. Okay, before we leave, let's see where everybody is. He's in his apartment. We're all in our apartments. Those two are somewhere else. Nobody's at the library right now. No, because why are planes so scary? Because they're taking their plane. Violet thinks it's going to rain. Ah, you make me so happy. Aw, Ren, you're so cute. I think, therefore I am. Looking for a man to send me money. Dude, Jay, aren't we all? Enjoy your food, Kay! Don't sleep in. That's Theo. That's Leon. Okay, so Leon.
3 hours later.
Shut up, Patrick. Shut up. Me at Alvarado. Me. Hello, me at Alvarado. Me. What? Oh, I see. Anyone want to keep me company later? I get it. Tio. She's all about Tio. Gross, girl. I said Patrick. Shut up.